Alrighty, friends. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back to another live. We are picking up on Lala's coverage because, well, not Lala's coverage, but the coverage on Lala, I should say. It's been a crazy storm, man. I tell you what, my prayers have been with you guys. It's been pretty nasty so far. We've obviously had ourselves quite a bit of impacts here already, and it is still ongoing here as of right now. So, definitely is pretty crazy out there, but it's good to see you all. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's see here. What's up, MD? Good to see you, friend. Saying aloha. Hello, friend. Good to see you. We got a lot of stuff to talk about here, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. So here's the current system as of right now. You can see we are still seeing. We are still seeing some heavy impacts here on, of course, the big island of Hawaii, and really all of Hawaii at this point. Definitely is coming down pretty good. What's up, Bethany? Good to see you. Say good Sunday. You as well, friend. You as well. Good to see you. But yeah, we are still seeing the system. I do want to go ahead and bring up the latest cone and everything like that for you guys so we can talk about it where it's at right now. So it is still a Category 1 hurricane. We are down to 75 mile per hour sustained. Now, here's the thing, y'all. While we were gone, while I was doing our intermission, before starting the second part to coverage, it actually did pick up some strength a little bit. It did go up to 80 miles per hour sustained, and then, of course, it'd been downgraded here to 75 sustained. Now, honestly, given the fact that it really didn't weaken much, means that it is going to be actually stronger as it continues working its way over here to basically the northwest overall. So, anyway, so it is currently still a Category 1 like we mentioned here. Now, we're actually seeing wind gusts up to 100 miles per hour within this storm right now. So, definitely is pretty strong here as far as those wind gusts go. Now, I do want to bring up our radar view, in which we're going to go ahead and add up here now. Let's go ahead and turn on our radar sight so we can actually see that. Let's do radar sights. Let's try to switch over to PHKM. This is our closest radar we got. So, yeah, there's the center here. It is now just west here of the... just west of the big island here of Hawaii. We're obviously seeing a lot of those heavy showers and all those heavy rains rolling its way into like Maui and some of those other areas nearby. Looking over by Honolulu, as far as the radar goes, we do have some of those outer bands rolling through here. So we are watching for that. And but yeah, a lot of those heavy rains are still continuing across the big island here of Hawaii. I mean, you can still see there's a whole bunch of it with it here still. Let's see. What's up, Bethany? Good to see you. What's up, Dalton? Saying, hey, Andrew, nothing about the hurricane. I was wondering, here in the East Coast, Ohio, flash flooding, it looks like there is a training line of showers. See, that just keeps coming. I got you. Got you. Now, speaking of flooding is going to be a massive concern with this system here. We do have isolated amounts up to 25 inches expected here still. So this is the latest update here from the WPC. They really haven't changed anything here, but we are seeing, of course, the flooding potential here. Once again, some areas here up to 25 inches total. Now, I'll tell you what we're actually going to do here. I'm actually really curious to see kind of where the amounts are at now. So let's switch on over here from the reflectivity to storm total precipitation. Holy cow. Wow, look at this. So this is radar estimated, by the way, in which, this is what the radar has kind of picked up in terms of the total precipitation from the storm so far. Mountain View, estimated by radar, is seeing anywhere from 12 to 14 inches that's fallen. Fern Forest here, 14, maybe 15 inches or so. But I am seeing some spots where we have estimated rains of up to 26, 27 inches or so, which is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, like I said, we are definitely expecting a heck of a lot of rainfall across a lot of these regions here, which is just absolutely nasty. Mountain View here, it looks like we reported about 12 inches or so overall. So, I mean, once again, that is just radar estimated winds here as far as that goes here. So, anyways, but like I said, back over here to the current cone, we are still sustaining 75 mile per hour winds here. So, unfortunately, we are still, a Category 1 hurricane here, in which we are gusting up to 100 miles per hour. Now, I do want to load up the MEDAR stations here. We're going to go ahead and do that now. Let's go ahead and load up the surface observations here with this system, because I'm kind of curious to see where we stand with that. Looks like the latest we've reported here, the maximum winds here out there by Hilo is 56 mile per hour winds, from at least this station that I see out here. Out here, let's go over by Honolulu. It looks like here, just kind of near Honolulu, we've reported 47 mile per hour winds here so far. Let's see. That's for that one over there, just slightly northwest of Honolulu. Here to the north of that, we have 39-mile-per-hour winds. I mean, we're definitely seeing some strong winds. And, like we were talking about for the southern side, especially out by Ocean View, I mean, you guys have been absolutely getting pounded by the storm here overall. So, all right, let's hop on over here into the satellite imagery. Let's take a look at it where she stands now. Switching over here to GOES West Mesoscale Floater 2. We're going to bring up our long wave IR band here. So this is the current satellite imagery with this system. And you can definitely see there is definitely still some heavy convection going on with this system. And like I mentioned, honestly, despite going straight past the big island of Hawaii here, there's really not a whole lot of weakening that has occurred, with this system here overall. So that's definitely interesting because, like I said, we were expecting the storm to actually be a tropical storm once it passed the other side of the big island here, and in which, like I said, right now it is a Category 1 still. It is still a hurricane, as it did. Actually, it did pick up a little bit of strength here, essentially because, we have the terrain here of, the mountainous terrain of the big island here, and a lot of that warm air actually ramped off of the mountain and brought a bunch of moisture into the cooler environment above, higher up into the altitudes, in which that caused the precipitation to rapidly condense, or the environment to rapidly condense, which created a lot of precipitation, a lot of rain. So we've been seeing a lot of rain out in these areas here overall. What's up, Pizza? Good to see you, dude. Glad to see you're still hanging in there, saying heavy rain in Fern Forest. We measured 21.5 inches. Wow. Golly. Let's see here. Christy says it's so late. Oh yeah, it's pretty late, but nothing new here, honestly. we've been up for so long, just covering these events over the last couple of days. I tell you what, once this system is said and done, I'm gonna take a day off. I need to have a day off after all the reporting we've been doing lately. Let's see here. What's up, Bethany? Good to see you. Chris says team no sleep. Oh, absolutely. It looks like it is swallowing the whole island. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been pretty nasty, and like I said, the Big Island's still really feeling those effects here out of that system. So, if we hop back over here to the radar view, I mean, you can still see that we do have that obvious circulation. At this point, the winds have shifted basically northward. So let me go ahead and pull up our fancy little stream arrows here, so we can. I know they're massive, and I just give me a second. Let me make those a little bit better. Because, yeah, there we go. That's more realistic here overall. But yeah, so you can see at the point where we stand now, with all these winds, we are seeing those winds, really kind of just pushing their way towards the coastal areas here, and that's still leading to that surge concern, in which for the Big Island we are expecting those surges to be 1 to 3 feet. Above sea level, meaning that we have a bunch of salt water going to be pushing inland. A lot of that coastal flooding potential is going to be there because we're seeing that the coastal areas swell up because of all that water pushing towards those coastal areas there. So, yeah, I mean, that is definitely still a ongoing concern, not to mention we're still seeing tons and tons of heavy rain rolling its way into the region here. It definitely looks like it starts to dry up a little bit, far away offshore here, but, we still have a lot of rain to come through here, unfortunately. It's definitely going to be a, still a very, very impactful storm for a lot of the eastern sides of the Big Island. Now, as far as it goes for, the other islands out by like Maui, if we hop over to current radar over here, PHKM, you will see that we do have a lot of that precipitation rolling into those areas. And, kind of a similar effect here, we are seeing a lot of that, a lot of that surging, pushing up against these islands here too, in which we do have, some flooding out there, some surges out there of 1 to 2 foot for the rest of the island chain here. So for the Big Island, it's 1 to 3 foot. For the rest of the island chain, it is 1 to 2 foot overall. So let's see here. Christy says, is this considered a pretty big system? I mean, it is a pretty good-sized storm. I ain't going to lie. I mean, this is a pretty decent-sized storm as far as, tropical cyclones go. Like if I was to, well, it depends how you measure this thing. We can measure it, though. We can do that. So we'll go from the top over here all the way to the core. That's about 100 miles or so, which, I mean, it's a pretty decent-sized storm. I mean, I've seen storms bigger. I've seen storms smaller. Yeah, from the edge, I'll tell you what, I mean, that band goes pretty far out there. I mean, the storm's wind field is pretty massive. In fact, let me actually pull this up real quickly for you. Let's see here. Probably nibbles. Probably. I think so. But yeah, if we go over here to where that estimated wind field is currently, you can see just how big those tropical storm force winds are. And you can see, so there you go. So there's the yellow area. And so that yellow blob that you see, this is where we are expecting those sustained tropical storm force winds to be. And you can see that still it covers the entire island here, or the entire big island here of Hawaii. Also out there by like Maui here included too, those two islands here west of Maui as well, inside of that tropical storm force wind field. And then of course our hurricane wind field at this point is pretty large, but is now, the sustained hurricane winds are now kind of just west of the big island here overall. But I mean, forecast track has this thing weakening a little bit. I mean, it is expected to run into a little bit of wind shear as far as, allowing the system to weaken a little bit, which is expected to bring it from that Category 1 into tropical storm status. But still, even at that point, it's still going to be an upper-level tropical storm, still near hurricane force here. But like we mentioned, over the next few days, as the system continues westward, it is actually expected to become a hurricane again here on Wednesday. This is, by the way, this is in your guys' time here in Hawaii. This is HST, in which we are seeing... here for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, the system once again getting back up to Category 1 strength here overall. So, anyways, but yeah, back over here to the surges. I will go ahead and show you guys that surge map we were talking about. Yeah, so for the Big Island, like we had mentioned, 1 to 3 foot of storm surge is, expected here. And has probably been ongoing, since the system has been, making that approach over there towards, of course, Hawaii here. In which, 1 to 3 foot above sea level. Basically, we're seeing those winds pushing a lot of that water towards those coastal areas, causing that water level to rise by 1 to 3 foot. Not to mention, with all the rain we've been seeing here out of the system, falling and rolling down those mountains and leading up into those coastal areas here, that is ponding even more water. So in addition to the salt water coming in and also the freshwater rainfall that's falling, I mean, like we had mentioned, I mean, that's a lot of water we're dealing with here, both from the ocean and also both from, the rainfall here overall. And like I mentioned, for the rest of the island chain here, we are expecting 1 to 2 foot of surges, including areas like Honolulu. I mean, literally as far as the western islands here, we are seeing 1 to 2 foot of surges. So we are expecting some surges out there right now. I'm sure Maui is probably starting to feel some of those surges here too. Like if we hop back over here to, the radar view, we're actually going to switch to PHKM here because that's our closest one to Maui. Actually, PHMO might be our best radar, but it doesn't matter. We'll use this one because it works. But yeah, you can see, with that motion we were dealing with, you can see those winds flowing east to west, basically, because you're basically on top of the center of that low here. And, these systems here, they do spin counterclockwise here in the northern hemisphere. This is, the Coriolis effect has them spin clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Here in the northern hemisphere, they spin counterclockwise, in which, we do have ourselves, that wrapping around. And so basically out there by Maui right now, we are seeing those winds flowing from east to west. And, as that system continues pushing eastward, it will change the wind direction, of course, as, where you are in relation to where the hurricane is, will change. Is this thing moving north? I just now, look at this. It looks like the last few frames has this thing moving north. Am I the only one seeing this here? Do you guys see this? That's not really good. Now, it could just be wobbling a bit, but it is actually pulling north, I do believe. Here, let's see what the Hurricane Center has on it right now. What did they put with the latest update here? They say it's moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. So since we were live earlier, it has picked up 2 mile per hour forward speed. Central low down and still 988 millibars. Max sustained winds up to 75 miles per hour. Goodness. Let's see here. Christy says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, Christy. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Pizza says, I had a question. We're showing velocity around 39, but it seems windier. Is that due to the heavy showers, maybe downdrafts? I mean, usually the right side of the storm is the most aggressive side. And like I said, using radar to, go off of winds is more of an estimation than an approximation. It's likely to be different. As far as we can look at the velocities here, kind of where they stand right now. I mean, yeah, it does look like those velocities here are about maybe 20, 30 miles per hour, but, there could be some higher gusts in there, of course. I mean, you can see here a little bit closer to the radar here, the velocities are more towards like maybe 50. This is a way to kind of estimate how fast the winds are because the radar is basically estimating how fast that precipitation is moving at the beam height. And given the fact that the beam is at an inclination over distance, it does gain altitude. In which, so the farther we go away from the radar, the higher we're scanning up ultimately. But yeah, there is definitely still some pretty strong winds out there. Look at that off the coast here. That right there, you know what? That looks like a little couplet that we had. That could have been a possible water spout. I did see a while ago, whenever I was offline here, I did peek in and check on it here for a minute. Like I said, I just needed to take a break between the streams here so I could do part 1, part 2. Now we're on part 2, of course. But, earlier I did notice that they did have a big special marine warning here on the northeastern side of the Big Island, which, yeah, that is something to consider. There looks like there might be another little velocity couplet here. That could be a water spout. That very well could be a water spout here. So, yeah, that is something that we might need to look out here for too. In which, yeah, this right here is definitely some strong velocities. I mean, we are seeing those inbound winds here about 81 miles per hour. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Not to mention we have a couple other little areas here. So we'll see what happens with it. Let's see, Mr. J says, I see it. Yeah, it does look like it's moving a little bit north, doesn't it? Here, let's go ahead and switch on over here real quickly. Can I go over Monday's SPC outlook? Probably not. Like I said, I'm really just trying to focus the stream specifically on Hawaii. Because obviously that's the biggest concern. I can, you know what, for you, friend, I'll briefly bring it up here. I'm not going to spend much time on it. You said for Monday, so tomorrow, day 2. Let me bring it up real quickly. Tomorrow we have 2 slight risk here, across bits of the mid-Atlantic here, kind of the lower mid-Atlantic, bits of the southeast, bits of the central plains here overall. Tornado probability here is at a 2% chance overall. Damaging wind probability here. Oh, let's see here. We got 2 15% risk areas. And as far as hail, we got ourselves 1 area here, 15%. Okay, that's enough. But yeah, so yeah, going back over here to the storm here though. And definitely, like we mentioned, it is starting to kind of pull away from the southern portion of the Big Island. But like I mentioned, they're still absolutely really feeling the effects out of this system. I tell you what, y'all, we're going to hop back over here to the rainfall potential. So this is as of the latest, WPC forecast that we have here. We do have isolated amounts, once again, up to 25 inches, across the eastern side. Now, we've already seen a lot of inches here of rainfall that's already fallen. In which, we are expecting the dark red here, of course, 16 to 20 overall. The red 12 to 16, the orange 8 to 12, which just also includes bits of like eastern Maui. You guys are inside of that there too. For the dark yellow, we're seeing 6 to 8. For the yellow, 4 to 6. For the dark green, we are seeing 2 to 4, and of course the light green here, 1 to 2. Which you can see isolated amounts up to 8 inches for a lot of those central and some of those western islands there overall. So once again, back over the surges and all. I mean, the biggest concern for surges is really going to be there for the Big Island, which we are seeing once again 1 to 3 foot above sea level. Once again, this is because those winds are pushing against the coastal areas. This is allowing for that water to be pushed, against the coast here, which is rising that water level by about 1 to 3 foot. And of course, for the rest of the island chain, we are seeing about 1 to 2 foot here of storm surge here for everybody else, which is, relatively mild as far as surges go, and from what we've seen with previous systems, but still, I mean, even that is still a bit of a concern. Not to mention, all the heavy rain we're seeing running down these mountains here towards those coastal areas, just flooding it even more. It's a mixture between the saltwater flooding with that surge potential and the mixture of that, that freshwater flooding from all that rain that's falling and rolling down the mountains. Like we had talked about a minute ago, if we go back to that rainfall potential, isolated up to 25, that's just think of a flat plane, just a flat surface, 25 inches. Now, if you tilt that water is going to run down and it's going to accumulate even higher on the area that's further down, if that makes sense. So that's where the big concern really comes in. All that water's running down the sides of the mountain, and it's really, really, really flooding pretty crazily over there. So, has it made landfall yet? It has made its closest approach, yes, at this current point, but it's still ongoing here. And now those impacts are really starting to spread out there for, of course, the western side of the Big Island of Hawaii, but also the, a lot of the central islands are starting to feel it here too. Maui is definitely starting to feel it, which I think the Hurricane Center, they did say officially that they are in that tropical storm force wind field, which indeed they are. Here, let's actually bring up the better map here so we can look at that. Yeah, so as far as that tropical storm force wind field, where we do expect those tropical storm conditions as of right now, is across this yellow ball here, essentially. So you can see the big island of Hawaii is in that tropical storm, the estimated tropical storm force wind field, where sustained winds of at least 39 miles per hour is occurring. And of course, we do have, a lot of Maui here as well. And of course, a couple of other areas here as well there too. So definitely is a pretty large wind field per se. And you can definitely see also here where we do have a hurricane wind field here as well, just west of the Big Island overall. So Max says, thank you very much. Of course. Shadow says, I'm in Florida. A category 1 is nothing. Tell me you don't know what you're talking about without telling me you don't know what you're talking about. First of all, comparing apples to oranges, Florida is flat. Hawaii is a big slope. Now, it's not about the winds that makes the storm strong. I mean, yes, of course, there is, the winds do play a big role, but that's a separate concern. Flooding is the biggest concern. I hate seeing I just hate the fact that I see so many people underplaying this event here. It is honestly annoying. It really is. Because really, in this case, it's not the winds that I'm mostly concerned about. It's the flooding. Isolated amounts up to 25 inches. I don't care who you are. Nobody can really deal with up to 25 inches of rainfall. That's just a ridiculous amount of water. Now, once again, like I said, Florida's a flat plain. Florida is as flat as it can get, basically. This is Hawaii, which is a big mountain. All of that water that's accumulating potentially up to 2 feet is running down the mountain towards those coastal areas. So for you to say a category 1 is nothing isn't really valid, considering that it also determines on storm size, as well as how fast that forward motion of the storm is going. You see what I'm saying? So, just letting you know, leave it to the professionals. Let's see here. We lost power soon and ended the stream earlier. Oh no, that's terrible. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, like I had mentioned though, I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're doing okay. Just hang on there for a little bit longer, like we had talked about here. I mean, we are definitely seeing still some pretty heavy impacts there, especially for the western side, of the Big Island here. If we switch back over to PHWA, we can see a lot of what's going on the eastern side of the island here overall. We are in fact seeing definitely quite a bit of heavy rain still continuing. Now, earlier, Pizza, who's in the chat here, did say that they had over, 21 inches or so. That's definitely, a lot of rain. That is a heck of a lot of rain, in which, it seems like the forecast is in fact holding up here pretty well, that the WPC does have out there. Because, Pizza was actually inside that isolated 25, and you did say, I think it was 21 something, and it's still raining. It hasn't stopped yet. It's still coming down pretty good here. Not to mention, we have a few other bands here possibly eventually rolling in here as well. Once that main core does work westward here, or northwestward in this case. And so there is more to come. So just please stay safe out there, friend. Yeah, I'm really worried for those coastal areas there, mostly. So let's see. And being on an island also, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Being on an island, kind of in the middle of nowhere, it's... Yeah, that is unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. But really the main thing in this, like I said, you cannot compare categories to how significant those impacts will be. That is just not the way to do it. Not all storms are equal. Like I said, some are big, some are small, some are fast, some are slow. If you have a big storm that's slow, huge flooding potential. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. The storm's not moving super fast. It's picked up a little bit of speed, but as it was really starting to impact Hawaii, we had about 8 mile per hour northwesterly movement. Now we're up to 10 miles per hour. So it's picked up a tiny bit of speed here overall. So recommendations to travel to Maui this coming Monday. That's like what, tomorrow? That's the 17th, right? I would not recommend it. There's definitely going to be probably some power lines, some trees down on the roadways that could be making travel very difficult. I would advise against it personally. Let's see here. Can't wait for a real cane here in Florida. We were due for a party. Yeah, I do love a good storm, but I just don't like the problems that it comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Power outages especially, they're the worst. They're absolutely the worst. Anyways, so yeah, I do want to hop over here, y'all, to Let's see, back over here to the satellite imagery. So this was the radar we just looked at here a minute ago. Let's switch on over here to the Mesoscale Floater 2, and we're going to pull up the geo color. I am going to go ahead and show you guys kind of what we looked at here as far as the latest scans here. And you can see here's the nighttime mode. You know, we're down into the IR spectrum now, in which we were on the visible spectrum a little bit ago, but now you can see that we do have still a lot of heavy cloud cover, of course, across the Big Island here, really starting to move in. The western islands, though, as you can see, it still looks to be fairly clear as far as cloud cover goes right now. There really isn't a whole lot of cloud cover out there yet, but that is, of course, going to change as the system does get a little bit closer here overall. Now, for those central islands here and all, like we had talked about it, they're really starting to feel this system here, especially out by Maui. Like if we switch back over here to the radar, if we add the radar on top of this here, and you could see if we play this in motion that we're really starting to have some of those heavy bands working its way into those regions there, in which also the surges are likely occurring too. Because the winds are coming from the east, blowing to the west here, a lot of those eastern coastal areas here are really feeling it. So on the top of Maui, those winds are pretty much parallel to coast, but on the far eastern point of Maui, you can see that the winds are actually going right there towards that coastal area. So that's allowing for that water level to rise quite a bit, in which we call the surge, is because, how strong those winds are literally pushing that water towards the coast and kind of shoving it against the coast, which is rising that water level. It's causing it to swell. And, that could be up to 1 to 2 feet out for all the islands except for the Big Island of Hawaii, in which, that is a concern, for some coastal areas and stuff. It is more of a mild surge comparing to other systems, obviously, we've covered here in the past on the channel and all. But, with that being said, though, I mean, it still is a little bit of a concern, not to mention all the freshwater flooding we're seeing here, with all this rainfall that's coming through. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming down pretty good. Let's see here. It's only a Category 1. What happened to Cat 4, 5? Yes, I can give you an idea. So it usually means flooding. What do you mean what happened to Cat 4? We never expected the system to be a Cat 4 or Cat 5. It actually played out exactly, or I wouldn't say exactly, but mostly to what we expected. The only big difference is the fact that the system did not make that direct landfall. I mean, it was close. We were talking about the two potentials. It could go under, it could go just right over. I mean, there was 50-50 shot, and it did choose the southern route. In which, that allowed the system to be a little bit stronger, but we never expected the storm to be anywhere near Cat 4 or Cat 5. No. Let's see here. Clinto says, aloha from... I'm so bad with the names. I'm so sorry. Let's see here. 70% clouds. Well, stay safe out there, friend. Yeah, please stay safe out there. Let's see. Any concern for a second wave of wind and rain for the west side of the Big Island here? Yeah, so there is definitely more on the way. I mean, if we pull up the PHWA radar, you can see that we have this band over here. Now, for the western side of the Big Island, eventually, as the system does continue working its way over here to the west here, as it does continue to, and this band will ultimately more than likely work its way out there as well. Like we had mentioned, there's a lot of precipitation with this system, which is really allowing for a lot of flooding here to be happening overall. Which, yeah, it's definitely a pretty big beast here of a storm. But despite it being Category 1, of course, it is still a big flood maker. Absolutely. Let's see here. I think it came about 9 miles off the coast near South Point. Gotcha. Now, as far as it comes, here to, like we mentioned, I forgot what I was going to say. I love when that happens. You're talking to you immediately forget what you got to say. I have to be like so many steps ahead of what I'm going to say. It's honestly crazy. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about here is that, as far as the winds go, that's what I was going with this, on this other band, they are definitely going to be strong, more than likely in the tropical storm force, because, if we hop back to where those current estimated winds are, like if we go all the way back over here to here we go, here's over Hawaii, yeah, you can see this is where the estimated tropical storm force winds are currently at here. And you can see this is where that yellow area here is currently. So this is where we are seeing those sustained winds. So a constant wind for at least a minute being at that point of 39 miles per hour to 73. So that's tropical storm force, is 39 miles per hour to 73 miles per hour. Now, as far as it goes for the hurricane force conditions, the hurricane winds here. This is where we do have this red blob here. And you can see that is now mainly west of the Big Island here. This is where we're seeing those winds, 74 to 110. But in this case, max sustained winds are 75. So there shouldn't be anything greater sustained than 75. I mean, earlier we did actually have some strengthening with the storm, in which it actually did go up to up to 80 there temporarily, but it's still holding on, man. Despite just kind of brushing up against Hawaii there. I mean it's holding on. It really is. And you can see where those estimated tropical storm force winds are. You can see that we have a lot of that working its way over here into like Maui and some of those other islands out there as well. So let's see here. It's 2:30 a.m. there. It sure is. Yep, it is early in the morning. And like I said, I just want to be here for you guys to cover this. Yeah, yesterday I ended up being live until I think it was like 5 a.m. or something, because I was doing updates before the storm hit. The things I do for you guys. I'm kidding. No, it's my honor, honestly, or my pleasure. I'm glad to be here for you guys. And like I said, I just love tracking the weather anyways. I'm going to do it on my own time, in which, I want to at least be there to help you guys, through these events here. And, like I'd mentioned, y'all, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask here. Absolutely. Let's see here. Any updated projection model tracks? Because once it passes the Big Mountain of Hawaii, could it do a short track up, then turn back left? It's unlikely. I will bring up the spaghetti models here for you. We'll go ahead and do that now. We'll actually bring up the ensembles here too. We're just going to bring up the whole bunch of models here. So let's do that real quick. Let's turn on ensembles. We're just going to load a bunch of these guys here. We'll do, let's see here, Lala. Load up a whole bunch of these guys, in which go to the latest run. We have 18 Zulu, 0, 0, 18 Zulu, 0. Okay, I think we're good. So yeah, here's the latest guidance. Now, it's a little bit behind. The new ones haven't really, updated quite yet. But yeah, you can see there's not a lot of agreement that has the center of that storm going up, like you were saying, up towards the other islands and then going west now. That's pretty much out of the picture at this point. I mean, you can see that the majority of those models has it within this alley here. Now, obviously, on the current observations, I mean, we have seen the storm kind of move northward a little bit, but that's because these storms do like to wobble. I mean, the models, they do suggest that the system is just going to continue moving westward. I mean, there is a few tiny little ensemble runs that do support it, maybe going a little bit further north than that, but, I mean, that would have to go against literally all of these models, which that would be pretty unlikely. And the fact is that a lot of these here, the fact is a lot of these are relatively just expected to be in this environment there. So now, I mean, it is expected to continue moving westward. Like I said, we do have tropical storm warnings here in effect for all of the islands except for the Big Island here, where we have those hurricane warnings in effect out there. But yeah, for all the main islands, we do have those tropical storm warnings that is in effect overall. So anyways, but hopping back over here to the radar, we're going to go and get rid of the guidance here as far as the models go. And like I said, we definitely do have, a lot of those impacts really starting to impact, like Maui and all that, which we're, seeing a lot of rain out there. If I do switch to PHMO, I am going to pull up the estimated storm total precipitation. Now, take this with a grain of salt. This is a radar estimation. It's not an approximation, but you can see that areas out there in eastern Maui, it looks like we might have a couple of inches of rain that's already fallen here. Over here, out there, I forgot the name of this particular island. What's the island that's kind of northwest of Maui? It's this guy here. But we do have reports over here of like 3 to maybe 4 inches of rainfall overall too. But yeah, by far the most rain that we've seen is... Did we lose PHWA's radar? Wait, last update came through is at 8:09 p.m. HST. That's not good. Yeah, unless, here, let me hop back to reflectivity. Yeah, the last scan here, guys, from this radar here, which is the PHWA radar in the southern tip of or the southern side of the Big Island. The last data we had come through was at 8:17. It is now 8:36. which usually the radar updates every 3 to 5 minutes, or every 2 to 5 minutes. Oh, buddy. Okay. Yeah, so I think we lost the radar here, which is unfortunate. We still have PHKM. I mean, the radar is good enough because, of course, we do have the center now on this side of Hawaii, so it's not going to be providing much of anything good. But yeah, going back to the storm total precipitation, I mean, like I said, we've picked up several inches here according to radar estimations. I mean, some areas up to 20 plus inches in some spots, in which Pizza, who's in the chat, actually said that they had like 21 inches or something like that, which is pretty darn crazy. So yeah, that's definitely a lot of rain that we're talking about. See, sometimes that radar goes down. Yeah, I mean, that could be from a lot of reasons. It could be out for a lot of reasons. Maybe there's direct damage to the radar dish itself. Power could be out. They usually have backup generators, though, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think that would really matter too much. Wireless communications, I'm not too sure, but all we do know is that we don't have data coming in from PHWA here, but we do have it still from PHKM, so that's still available. At least we have that radar. Honestly, it's kind of more important that we have PHKM right now than the PHWA, because yeah, the radar at PHWA cannot see the storm anymore. Really, not this side of the storm because of the mountains are blocking its view. Let's see here. Most of the islands out with the power. I'm sure. I don't know if here, let me pull up my power outage map. I don't know if they cover Hawaii. Let me see if power outages. I don't think they do. Here, let me bring this down here with you guys. So this is how I always check the outages here. Go back to home. Oh, they do. They do. Yes, that's awesome. That's actually really good news. Okay. The Big Island right now, out of 90,000 people tracked, apparently 62,800 people are without power out there. Let's see. So this is for Maui County. Apparently we have about 20,000 people out of 71,000 people without power. Honolulu County, we are seeing about 9.7K out of 310,000 people without power there. And then for the other areas here, not a whole lot of power outages quite yet, but that's probably going to increase, of course, as we go further down, into time here as the system does continue working its way over that way. So, anyways, but yeah. So as far as the current system is right now, where we stand at the moment, you can see here's the radar imagery. The system is slowly working its way over here to relatively the northwest overall. We did miss a direct landfall on the Big Island of Hawaii. But I tell you what, though, I mean, it definitely hit pretty hard regardless. And like I was saying, regardless of that direct landfall or that closest approach, I mean, it was gonna hit you guys pretty darn hard, in which it's still definitely really impacting the western side of the Big Island here right now. We have a lot of heavy rain rolling into those regions here. And, we have that counterclockwise movement here, which a lot of those winds right now are currently, really pushing there towards those coastal areas there. And, that's leading to that surge concern and stuff like that. Not to mention all that water is running down off the mountains towards those coastal areas there. So I'm sure there's a lot of flooding going on. Not to mention, another big concern out of the system is going to be the mudslides here too. Because we're seeing so much rainfall, and it's really loosening up the ground here. Because of that, we're really seeing the potential of those mudslides really going up here quite a bit. Especially with those steep elevations and stuff like that. That's just really going to allow for the potential of mudslides, which that itself is a big concern as well. Now, like we had mentioned over here, as far as like it goes out by Maui, winds right now are relatively moving west-northwest here. Coming from the east-southeast, in which, those winds are definitely picking up quite a bit. We do have likely some of that surge beginning, if it hasn't already been ongoing already, likely already across some of those areas here. Because, like we mentioned, with those winds that are battering against the coast, essentially it's like pushing the water further inland. It's pushing the water towards the coastal areas, which is rising that water level up. Now, like we had mentioned, with the totals that we're talking about here, as far as that goes, we are seeing, relatively low end surge numbers for the system overall, but still, like we mentioned, any surge potential is still a concern. You can see for a lot of the islands here, we are seeing 1 to 2 foot of surges out there, including the Maui we were just talking about. And then once again, for the big island here of Hawaii, we are seeing 1 to 3 foot of surges. So a little bit more for the big island, but yeah, 1 to 2 for everybody else here as far as that goes. Let's see here. The line crew will not go out in the storm in Hawaii County. They said earlier they'll wait till it stops. That's the safest thing to do anyways. Yeah, that's a good call there. Christy says, do we have any storms coming to Florida soon? Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you are, no. I love a good storm, like I said. I don't like the damage they cause, but I do like the thrill of a good storm. For Florida or just really anywhere in the Atlantic Basin, no, we don't really have anything going on here right now. If we go back to the Hurricane Center, you can see that no tropical activity is expected in the next 7 days. Yeah, we did have 2 disturbances we were watching, but I mean, at this point, they've already packed their bags and went home. So, yeah, those ones aren't really doing much. However, in the Pacific, we actually have 2 other areas we're watching here. Probabilities have actually increased a little bit. We have one for the EPAC, Eastern Pacific here, going to be moving westward here. Medium 40% chance of development in the next 7 days. The next 48 hours near 0%, so it's not going to do anything in the next 2 days. Then we have disturbance 2. Now, this has a 50% chance of development here in the next 7 days, next week. And next 48 hours or next 2 days, we don't really have anything going on here either, 0%. So, yeah, I mean, we do have some more activity here in the Pacific. From what I've always seen, it really seems like when the Pacific's active, the Atlantic's not. When the Atlantic's active, the Pacific's not. So, I mean, obviously it's not always like that, but I just feel like every time I see that's pretty much what's going on there anyways. But yeah, so hopping back over to radar so you guys can see the system here. So this is what we are currently dealing with. Now, I think there's a way I might even be able to pull up a 3-dimensional radar. Let me try to do this. Let's do a 3D volume. I'm curious to see how this actually loads here. This is something we really haven't done quite yet as far as that goes. When do I think the power will be back? I am not sure, friend. Oh, wow, look at that. That's actually really cool how they keep it on the map like that. You know what? Man, that's actually really cool. That just makes me want to just kind of grab the whole storm, you know what I'm saying? Let me try to do that real quickly. Yeah, let's grab the majority of that storm here. Let's see what that looks like. Goodness. But yeah, I have no idea on when the power is going to be back here, unfortunately, cuz like I had mentioned here, that's totally up to how bad the damage is, when the crews can get out there, stuff like that. I mean, that's just something I really have no control over, unfortunately. So I wish I had more information for you, Fred, but unfortunately, I do not. Oh my goodness, Christy! Coming in with a $20 super chat. Oh my goodness, Christy. Thank you so much, friend, for the 20. That is super sweet of you. And that helps fund us. I really appreciate it. Allows me to keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you so much, Christy. That is so sweet of you, friend. That is really, really nice. Huge shout out goes to Christy. If you guys could please give Christy a big thank you in the chat. Once again, Christy, thank you so much for the support. Huge shout out goes to you, friend. All right, guys, let's go and hop our way back over here to the system. So if you guys are still, or if you're just tuning in, I should say, we are seeing the system here still a Category 1 storm. We are currently sustaining 75 miles per hour. Higher gusts up to 100 miles per hour is what the current cone does have here. Let me go ahead and bring up the cone real quickly, which we're going to go ahead and bring up to here now. So the system, yeah, once again, is still sustaining 75 miles per hour, and we do have some gusts up to 100 miles per hour, you can see here. So it is still absolutely a beast of a storm here ongoing. Central low is down to 988 millibars here overall, which is still pretty darn low for any low system. But I mean, 988 millibars is fairly low pressure. As far as the rainfall potential goes, once again, that is by far the biggest concern here with this system. This hasn't really updated in about a day or so, which this is basically what we're expecting out of the whole event, as far as what we could see here. Rainfall wise. And like we were talking about here, we are seeing isolated amounts up to 25 inches here for the eastern side of the big island of Hawaii. For the dark red, that's where we are expecting some of the heaviest rainfall here for 16 to 20 inches on the expectancy. Local amounts, once again, up to 25. For the red, 12 to 16. Orange, 8 to 12. This also includes bits of Maui. So keep that in mind there too, which we do have 8 to 12 there as well. For the dark yellow, 6 to 8. For the yellow, 4 to 6. For the dark green, 2 to 4. And then lastly, for the light green, 1 to 2 inches here overall. So that's a lot of rain. And like we mentioned, all that rain's going to fall, and it's going to run down the mountains, which is going to create, a very, very soggy ground, which, for some of those cliffs and all could create, mudslides and stuff like that, which is definitely a really big concern here. Not to mention, all that water running down those coastal areas here and piling up there on the coast. I mean, that right there is already going to be, a pretty good amount of concerns too, with a mixture of also the surges coming in here, which, like I said, surge numbers aren't super duper high with this particular system, which I'm very thankful for, but still, there is surges with this system, 1 to 3 foot above sea level for the big island of Hawaii. The rest of the island chain, once again, 1 to 2 foot is expected here. So, I mean, still some surges going on overall. With that being said, there is a little bit of surge concern, so a bit of salt water coming in, a lot of rainwater coming down the mountains here as well. So, definitely, a lot of water involved here with this particular system. So, anyways, hopping over here to this map here. So, I kind of want to show you guys where all those winds are at right now. So this is according to the National Hurricane Center, kind of where these estimated tropical storm force winds are at here. So you see this big orange or this big yellow blob here. It's more orange. But this right here is where we are estimating those tropical storm force winds here. In which that is where we are seeing those estimated winds of 39 to 73 miles per hour here. So that's where we're having those constant winds blowing at 39 to 73 miles per hour. And then, of course, we do have this hurricane forced area here, in which we are seeing that's where they're at. We have the 74 plus, so up to 75 here is what we're currently at. Max sustained wind 75. But once again, we are having heavier gusts here within the storm, which we're gusting up to 100 miles per hour here. And if I do hop you guys back over here to that cone, you can see right here how they do say that we are gusting up to 100 miles per hour right in here, which is 85 knots. So max gusts, what the winds could peak up to, typically just for a few seconds, could get up to 100 miles per hour. And then, of course, the sustained, those constant winds, we could see those up to 75 miles per hour overall. So anyways, did the hurricane just start? No. It's been going on for quite a little bit here now. I mean, we did some coverage earlier. We covered a little over 3 hours, I think, as it was causing impacts on the east side. So now we're covering the west side of the Big Island here. And at this point, like we had mentioned, we're really starting to feel those effects increase across a lot of those central islands here too. So no, it's been going on for a little bit. It's been kind of an all-day thing, all day today. And, like we were talking about here also, all tomorrow or a lot of tomorrow, we're also going to be having a lot of impacts here. So it's lasting quite a bit, unfortunately. Will I please tell fall to hurry up? Kind of soupy here in Georgia, thanks. I wish I could, friend. I wish I could. Yeah, it's been pretty muggy over here too. It's been pretty rough here. Anyways, but on the forecast track here from the latest cone from the National Hurricane Center here, as we go into 2 o'clock a.m. HST, so this is local to you guys here, we are expecting the storm to be sustaining still 70 mile per hour winds, gusting up to 85 still. So we're still going to be getting some gusts well within hurricane strength here, but the sustained winds is going to be down into tropical storm force, but literally only 5 mile per hour short from a Category 1 hurricane. So, it's really kind of hard to... it's really just the only big thing there is just the name difference rather than the effects here, because 5 mile an hour difference isn't really a whole lot. I mean, it's something, but it's a magnitude of tropical storm to hurricane. It's right on that teeter-totter between hurricane and tropical storm. So anyways, but we continue, westward here. Now, we are expecting a little bit of weakening with this system, of course. So here for 2 p.m. tomorrow, the 16th, for your guys' time out there. At this point, we are expecting the storm to be sustaining 60 miles per hour. So back down in kind of that mid-level tropical storm force. Gusting still upper tropical storm force here of 70 miles per hour, so just sub-hurricane strength at that point. The reason we are expecting the system to weaken quite a bit is because of some wind shear. Now, if I actually hop over here to this, I'll go ahead and show you all what I'm talking about here. If I hop over to one of my workflows I have here, and if we go over to the shear, we take a look here at the American GFS model, as far as this goes. So wind shear, what I mean by that is just how strong those winds are throughout the atmosphere. Having winds opposing against a tropical system allows the storm to really kind of lose some of its structural integrity and causes the system to weak pretty decently. Now, if you look at this here, as we work our way down in time, I mean, you can definitely see how we do have a lot of strong winds, really kind of coming on. This is actually that jet stream, and it kind of goes over that system. Now, those winds are going to be forcing against the storm itself. And, having that strong wind shear is actually going to allow for the storm to become a little bit more disorganized. That's part of three main things that tropical systems need. They don't need a strong jet pointing at them. That's what kills a tropical system or really hurts them. And that's kind of what we're seeing, a little bit of shear rolling into this area. But, another thing is having warm sea surface temperatures, which we absolutely have. That's not a problem at all with this system. Another thing is the moisture content. There is a lot of moisture. I mean, P-Watt values are 2 to 3 inches, which is pretty darn high. But like I had mentioned here, the wind shear, this is what's really going to allow for that system to weaken quite a bit here. So anyways, but you know what? It really didn't weaken much, even though it just kind of really caused a lot of havoc for the big island of Hawaii. I mean, it really didn't weaken that much overall. So anyways, but yeah, it's going to continue working westward. It's supposed to be a tropical storm over the next several days, but it is expected to redevelop back into hurricane strength here. Now, this is going to be for 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 2 o'clock p.m. HST here for the 19th. So at that point, we're going to be back in the 75 sustained, gusting 90, and it's supposed to pick up more strength, back up to 80 to gusting 100 here, kind of where it was just at about an hour or so ago, or a little bit more than an hour or so ago. In which, that's going to be here for the 2 p.m. margin for the 20th. So that is what we're getting here. Let's see here. See, you're here in Maui. The winds are crazy. Rain starting to hit. Yeah, so be safe out there, friend. Yeah, we were just talking about that here not too long ago. Actually, if we hop back over to the radar view, over here by Maui, you guys are definitely starting to feel it a little bit more because the reason is because basically the big island of Hawaii was acting like a wall, essentially. And so that system being over here earlier was blocking a lot of those winds and, blocking a lot of the effects here from that system. But now, since the hurricane is kind of snuck around the corner here, now it's really starting to light up or starting to get crazy for you guys out there. Now, you guys are not expecting hurricane... whoa, what is this? This is a considerable flash flood warning. Okay, we'll get to that here in a second. You guys are not really expecting any hurricane conditions per se. We do have tropical storm warnings in effect out there saying, hey, tropical storm conditions is expected here, which, it's just strong winds in tropical storm force, 39 to, in this case, probably upwards towards 60 mile per hour gusts. To what we expect out here. And of course, the heavy rainfall associated there with it. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely it's looking like it's definitely starting to pick up quite a bit. We do have a lot of heavy to moderate rainfall going on out there across a lot of Maui here. And of course, those winds really starting to come around the big island there. It's kind of, on the outer bands here, we're really starting to see some of that wind go around and, really starting to hit you guys pretty good. In which right now the wind direction here is basically east to west currently. And, like I had mentioned, you guys do have a surge concern, and that's because, we are seeing a lot of those winds, pushing directly on some of the eastern coast here of Maui, in which, that's allowing for that water to kind of push and pile up against those coastal areas, which is allowing for that water level to rise quite substantially. And so because of that, we're going to have some of that salt water working its way inland here, which is going to lead to, definitely a bit of a flooding concern and stuff like that. Not to mention with all the rain that we're seeing fall out of the system here too. I mean, yeah, definitely are going to be seeing, quite a bit of flooding potential out there, especially for the big island. You guys have been getting absolutely hit out there. Now, as far as Honolulu goes, here currently looking at the radar view, I mean, we do have a little bit of, some of those bands working its way through, a little bit of showers and all. The winds have definitely been pretty strong out here as well, from local observations here, like ASOS stations and all. Have really been showing some pretty strong winds out there. We'll go ahead and load up those ASOS stations, actually. Let's go ahead and do that now so we can kind of see where we are in terms of observations and all. But yeah, I mean, those winds have been in 30, 40 mile per hour winds. I think even 50 at some points here. See, max 39 on this station. And then, of course, we have another one over here. This one was max of 41. So, yeah, about 30, 40 mile per hour winds, which those winds are not at their peak yet. So, I'm just giving you guys a heads up. They're not at their peak yet. And we'll actually get into that here in 1 second. But, they are already gusting towards tropical storm force or in tropical storm force here in some spots. So, we're starting to feel those winds pretty good, but a lot of that rain's starting to come in here too. Okay, I'll tell you what, y'all, we're going to hop into the rain, or not the rain totals, but the maximum wind speeds here, because I do want to bring this up. Now, I do want to hop over to the HAFS A model. This is the latest run that we have here of this particular model. This is the 12 Zulu run. And I do want to change this to wind gusts. So this is basically how strong those winds could peak to. Not necessarily consistently blowing at, but what they could peak to here overall. So as you can see, as we go into 11 o'clock, I should be able to change the time here. Let me go ahead and do that real quickly so that you guys can have the HST time here. That way, we can have local time instead of always doing the conversions and stuff like that here. So let me go ahead and do this real quickly. Here we go. Honolulu time. So this is here. You can see 5 o'clock a.m. HST here for, tomorrow morning. We could be seeing those winds, still going, maybe mid 40 mile per hour winds, maybe 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts here. Right around 8 o'clock a.m., you can see a lot of the island here. Really seeing some pretty impressive wind gusts out there, which is in the tropical storm force here overall. As far as those western islands, definitely starting to feel the effects out there too, about 8 o'clock. Now, for the big island, you notice that a lot of those winds have calmed down quite a bit. If you go back in time, you guys have been getting absolutely battered by some very, very strong winds, some heavy rain, and all kinds of stuff like that, in which the winds definitely are expected to start calming down here pretty darn soon. So yeah, by 2 o'clock a.m., a lot of those eastern areas will start to calm down with the winds. We could still have some gusts of 20 to 30 mile per hour winds or so, which is still pretty strong winds, but definitely not as kind of what we were seeing here earlier. It's I'm sure it's already kind of calmed down a little bit here in some of those spots overall, but if not, it will be here pretty darn shortly here. So, and then of course here, once again for Honolulu, as far as like the strongest winds, probably going to be right around, according to this one model, 11 p.m. this evening. Now, I do want to compare that with the HAFS-B model. So let's hop on over here to HAFS-B. It's good to get more than one model agreement. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good thing to just look at one model. In fact, actually, the HAFS-B model does actually suggest that those winds could be a little bit stronger, maybe into the mid 50 mile per hour wind gust range. So I would anticipate on, at least 40 to, I'd even say 60 mile per hour winds just to be safe, because we are gusting up towards 60 according to this model out by Honolulu. So 40 to 60 gusts is probably well within the range of kind of what we can expect as far as winds go out here. Now remember, this is not constant winds. This is what the winds could peak to, typically just for a few seconds, not the constant flow, not the constant winds of a certain number here. So anyways, but yeah, definitely is going to get pretty windy out there overall. Now, I'll tell you what we're going to do now, y'all. We're going to hop over back to Meso Floater 2. We're going to switch over to actually to sandwich mode. I do want to bring this up here. That way we can kind of take a peek and see what the satellite imagery here is doing right now. Let's see, going to check the rain gauge in a few minutes, last time today. Okay, sounds good, friend. Let's see. I don't know. We just had some serious gust here in Fern Forest. Oh, did you? Yeah, it's probably still going to continue for a little bit, but it's not going to be a whole lot further out before those winds probably start to improve here quite a bit. So, did I go to east? Hold on, let me double check on this. Goes west, Meso Floater. Let's do long wave IR. That might be a better thing to do. Yeah, I think the sandwich mode was having a bit of troubles here. Look at this. So this was right around 5:30 HST. Your guys' time here. At this point, we had some really deep convection out there. You can see kind of where we have a lot of that pink and kind of grayish color. That right there was a lot of heavy storm activity here at that system. Now, where we stand now, you can see a lot of that convection has faded out mostly in those areas. But I tell you what, though, where we stand right now, it definitely looks like we are seeing a pretty heavy convective burst right here, kind of for some of these southeastern parts of the Big Island. Now, we definitely could see some local higher winds here with some of those heavier convective bursts there. So, I wouldn't be surprised if those winds are still pretty darn strong. Right now we are seeing a lot of those winds still kind of pushing relatively south to northwest, basically slightly southeast to northwest here, in which, that's really still causing, still some coastal flooding, of course, and a little bit of surges is still likely ongoing out there. As far as peak goes, I have a feeling that a lot of the peak surges is going away for those areas, but still we do have those surges still ongoing, so don't think they're over with. But not to mention all that water that's still trickling down the mountain, and of course going towards those coastal areas here too. So like I said, we're kind of getting invaded on both sides. We have the waves coming in, the heavy rain, or sorry, those surges coming in, flooding a little bit, and then all that water running back down. So it's kind of meeting right there on the coastal areas, which is just likely causing a lot of flooding here currently, unfortunately. So anyways, so that's kind of what we got going on there at the moment with the latest satellite imagery. Now, if we play this in motion here, you can kind of see where that low is. This is as fast as I can make it go. But yeah, I mean, that low where we currently stand, I will go ahead and bring up our cone here on top of this here too. So let's do that now. So if we switch over here to that cone, yeah, so the center of that storm is right in here. You can see there, that's where we have it. And like I mentioned, right now we are currently sustaining 75 mile per hour winds here. So that's, constant winds blowing at 75 miles per hour. And you can see wind gusts up to 100 miles per hour. So there is still a good potential that we could see, some gusts up to 100 miles per hour here within that storm there. Like we mentioned a little bit ago, I mean, those ocean view areas, I mean, they got hit really hard from the way that it looks here with those winds and, of course, the rain here too. Some of the heaviest rain was really across these areas here, on the eastern side of the Big Island, as we were kind of expecting, in which, I mean, these areas have already really felt a pretty good amount of rainfall here, but like we mentioned, with the motion of the storm right now, the system is moving basically here to the northwest at 10 miles per hour. So it's picked up a little bit here overall. Let's see here. What's up, Southern? Good to see you. See your live streams. Fill my quiet, waking, sleepless nights. Thank you for your awesome coverage. You're very welcome, friend. You're very, very welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. The wind on Maui just ramped up about 30 minutes ago. 15K homes without electricity. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. We do actually have a power outage map for you guys here. Let's do an update overall. So for Hawaii County, so did they call the Big Island Hawaii? A genuine question, because we really don't cover Hawaii too often. So, not every day I cover you guys, but is this island called Hawaii, or is there a specific name for this island? I would assume that there's a specific name, but this is Hawaii County, which, 90,000 people tracked, 62,000 are without power. That's about 70% of the people who live on this island are without power here. Maui County, including the four islands here, out of 71,000 people tracked, 20,000 are without power here, and that percentage comes up to right about 29% overall. Here for Honolulu County, we are talking, here 310,000 people tracked. That's definitely where the majority of the population is here overall, and we do have 10,000 people without power out of that 310. So about 300-ish thousand people still have power, but yeah, it's about 3%. But that number is probably only going to go up here. So let's see here. Hawaii Island. Oh, okay. So yeah, the Big Island is just named Hawaii. Gotcha. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the heads up. Like I said, I'm not very familiar covering here too often, and I have you guys in the books, of course. When there's a system like this coming, I got to do some coverage and all. But like I said, it's not every day I do track a hurricane coming over here. So, but thank you. I appreciate y'all's help. I really, really do. All right, y'all, let's hop on back over here. I do want to bring back up the Hurricane Center. So, first of all, this right here is where we are seeing, those tropical storm force winds, those estimated tropical storm force winds sustaining or constant winds of 39 miles per hour up to 73 miles per hour here within that storm. This is a really big marker, so bear with it. But yeah, you can see we do have this yellow blob, in which the entirety of Hawaii Island or the county of Hawaii County, we'll call it. For Hawaii County, we do have those hurricane warnings in effect, of course, but a lot of that hurricane-sustained winds has now passed west of the main island here, as of the 8 p.m. HST advisory. Now, as far as it comes to the blue ones here, that's where we have those tropical storm warnings in effect out there, and we can already see that those tropical storm conditions, those estimated tropical storm force winds are already starting here well into Maui County here overall. So, any live cameras? Unfortunately, I do not, friends. I don't have any rights to share any cameras. I mean, all I can do is just stay up late, track the storm with the radar, satellite imagery, mesonet. I mean, we have a lot of information we can gather from the sources we do have, but unfortunately, plus it's night out there too. It's probably going to be pretty hard to see anything at this point. With it being nighttime, with the power outages probably pretty high, I doubt we're going to have anything right now anyways, even if we did. So anyways, but yeah, once again, though, like I was saying, though, yeah, the orange blob here, that's where the estimated tropical storm force winds are currently at here, and then the estimated hurricane force winds are here in the red. All right, hopping back over here to the WPC's forecast here. As far as the overall rain here for this system, overall, in which we do have, like we were talking about, isolated amounts up to 25 inches here for this area here in that dark red, which once again, that's kind of where we were expecting some of the heaviest amounts of rainfall here overall. And we definitely got a pretty good amount of rainfall overall, and which is still coming down for these areas. Now, for the dark red, we're seeing 16 to 20 inches of rain. For the red, 12 to 16 inches. For the orange, 8 to 12. For the dark yellow, 6 to 8 inches here overall. And not to mention the yellow, 4 to 6. The dark green, 2 to 4. And then the light green here, 1 to 2. So, but, for a lot of those islands here, including like Honolulu County, Maui County, and some of those other western areas here of Hawaii, we are seeing isolated totals of rainfall up to 8 inches overall. So, there is definitely still a pretty decent flooding potential even there. You can't really compare it to, of course, what's happening on the Big Island, but still, isolated amounts up to 8 inches of rain is still a lot of rain, and still definitely could be a pretty good amount of flooding overall. So, let's see here. Anything from Maui? Any Maui updates? Yeah, so you guys are definitely starting to feel that system pretty good. If we hop back over to radar view, which we're going to go ahead and do now, switching on over here into PHKM's radar here. So this is that radar that's near you. So as far as it goes, we are definitely having some pretty heavy rain across those areas here. If you've probably noticed, it's probably pretty windy out there now. We are having a lot of that east to west flow. So a lot of that strong winds coming in here from the east, working its way to the west. And, those winds are definitely picking up here quite a bit. And they're expected to continually pick up over the next several hours here. And, as far as that goes, like we had mentioned, we are seeing a lot of those coastal areas here picking up a pretty good amount of, really picking up a pretty good amount of flooding potential, given that we have a little bit of surging expected, 1 to 2 foot of surges, which is kind of mild for surging, but still, it is a surge concern. 1 to 2 foot of water above its normal point, plus big waves, definitely could allow for there to be, a pretty good amount of coastal concerns there. Not to mention, like we had talked about here too, with all this rain that's falling, and and all that stuff here too. It's like that's going to be a freshwater flooding. So for low-lying spots here, and like we mentioned with all the mountains we have here, all of that water running down the mountains here into those areas. Will definitely allow for those flooding concerns to be pretty big. But yeah, now Maui's definitely starting to really feel it out there. If I do bring up our Mesonet data here, this is actually our weather station data that we do have. We have been keeping an eye on this every once in a while here. Actually, we forgot to go over this flash flood warning. Let's go ahead and do that now here real quickly. If it'll let me grab it here. Oh my goodness. Why? There we go. All right, flash flood warning in effect here. So this is for a lot of the eastern side of the Big Island overall. Let's see here. This is having rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. Let's see here. Some of them 2 to 4 inches per hour here. So definitely some really, really heavy rain here. Life-threatening flash flooding in creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses. You can see some of these areas that are included here. Turn around, don't drive when encountering flooded roads. You shouldn't even be on the road anyway, so just don't be driving in this mess. Seriously, that's just not a good thing to do. Because, first of all, it's going to be wet. You're probably not going to have much traction anyways. Not to mention power lines, trees, debris on the roads, stuff like that. Inclination, driving up hills and stuff, not a good thing. Just stay home. Stay home till everything gets cleared out, because, yeah, it's not a good idea to be driving anyways. Let's see here. There are 24-hour rainfall totals as high as 27 inches on the Big Island. Wow. I'm not surprised. Considering how much rain we've been seeing here, for so long. I'm genuinely not surprised, that we have had that. I do want to add some more arrows here. So let's go ahead and do such. I know they're really big. I do apologize for that. We're going to fix that here, though. Don't worry. So let's go ahead and change that arrow size back down to normal levels, essentially. Now, what I do want to do is I want to, kind of animate this here as well. So you guys can see, this is basically the motion of this storm. We have counterclockwise motion here with that system. So it's kind of pulling the water along, counterclockwise. And then, like we mentioned, it's still pretty much, hitting against those eastern sides of the Big Island. There still likely is some surging going on at this moment here, considering we're still seeing some strong winds pushing that water, towards those coastal areas and all. But yeah, I mean, right now we're also seeing a lot of those waters pushing against the, areas out by Maui as well. Let's go ahead and change the arrow size again here too. But yeah, also, changing that out there by, like for the surges to be out there by Maui there as well. And, so like I said, just the whole thing's just spinning counterclockwise at this moment. And, so we are seeing a lot of those winds pushing against some of those eastern coastal areas, which for these regions, we are talking about, 1 to 2 foot of surges. So 1 to 2 foot of water above its normal area, not to mention plus the big waves and stuff like that. So, let's see here. But anyways, what's the cell hitting right now? Yeah, you guys are definitely feeling it. I mean, like I said, we just have a bunch of bands here with this system. I mean, you're going to have moments of heavy rain, moments of lighter rain, stuff like that, especially areas out by like Honolulu and all. I mean, you guys are still relatively isolated as far as rain goes right now. You see just, occasional few showers roll through, definitely some strong winds and stuff like that with them and all. But, yeah, but like I said, it's really more consistent heavy rain, especially for the Big Island here still. Switching back over to PHKM radar here, if we look at the latest radar, you can see this is where the center of that storm is. It's definitely wobbling a little bit, as you can tell. There's a little bit of precipitation there towards the core of that storm. There is no visible eye here with this system, and there hasn't been here. I really didn't think it. Get it? I didn't really think. Haha, bad joke. Okay, bye. Anyways, no, but like I said, the center is here, and there is a little bit of precipitation getting its way in towards the center of that storm there. Now, I tell you what, we're going to hop back to sat view. Let's go ahead and remove all of this here, and we're going to head on back over to the satellite imagery here. So let's go ahead and do that now. So let's head over to GOES West Mesoflutter 2, and we're actually going to pull up the let's see, the geo color. This was kind of the visible satellite that we saw, earlier, in which this is where we're at now. You can see that it's transitioned to night mode here. But yeah, still deep convection going on over there towards the center of that storm there. So that's still ongoing. As far as it goes earlier into today, this was still, let's see, hold on. Is this still, this is in Eastern time still. Hold on. Let's go back to Hawaii time here, which let's go ahead and do that now. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Honolulu time. So you can see the timing up here. So yeah, you can see just when the sun was starting to set here. This was at 6 o'clock p.m., 7 o'clock p.m. and all. So if we look at the latest scan that we have here, just before, the sun went down, I should say. I say latest, but not the latest, but just before the sun went down here, you see a lot of ripples there. And there's a lot of convection going on within these areas here. If we go all the way back here, I mean, you can just see just the motion with this system, and you can really see some deep convection right here. See how it kind of looks like it's bubbling a bit, because it kind of is actually. This is just convection. That warm air rising up into the cool environment, condensing, creating a lot of clouds and precipitation and all kinds of stuff like that. But to where we are now here, though, I mean, those clouds are really starting to cover a lot of like Honolulu and all, because earlier we did have some breaks in the clouds here, but at this point, it's pretty much overcast. It does look like there might be a little bit of clearing, a little bit of a dry slot here coming through, but anyways. All right, y'all, let's hop on back over here to the NHC guidance here. So this is the latest from the WPC. This is the Weather Prediction Center here, as far as the overall expectancy as far as the rainfall. So I do believe there is probably going to be some isolated spots above 25 at this point, considering what we've already been seeing with this system. I mean, honestly, it turned out to be a pretty nasty scenario for the Big Island of Hawaii. You guys did get hit very hard today, both with the rains, both with the winds, stuff like that. Those were the two big ones here, impacting these areas. But yeah, we're forecasted here. This is just overall event. This is not still what's yet to come. This is just total event here. So, like we mentioned, isolated amounts up to 25 inches here across the dark red area here, which we are expecting generally 16 to 20 inches out there. For the red, 12 to 16. For the orange, 8 to 12, which also includes, like I said, bits of eastern Maui here too. And we are seeing the orange 8 to 12, like we talked about. The dark yellow, 6 to 8 inches here, 4 to 6 across the yellow. That includes a lot of the central islands here in that 4 to 6 inch margin. And they did mention isolated totals up to 8 inches here. So there is potential, amounts up to 8 inches across those yellow areas. And this does include like Honolulu's actually included there as well. And, some areas further west here. Okay, somebody let me know if I'm saying this right. Is this Kauai? Maybe. Probably not. I'm not good with name pronunciation, so I do apologize. Is this island called Kauai? I'm trying to learn my Hawaiian islands. I'm getting there. This event has... I've learned a lot about Hawaii from this event, and it's been a whole learning experience. Learning about the geography. I mean, I knew about the geography, but learning about the names of these places here, it's been quite a bit. It is Kauai, really? Okay, so I do know this is Hawaii. This island is the island of Hawaii. This is Maui. I don't know what these ones are. What is the island that Honolulu's on? And then this is Kauai. I'm getting there. I'm getting there, y'all. We're gonna learn this one of these days. I'll tell you. I promise you. By the time I do this coverage next time, which hopefully it's for not a long time. Hopefully you guys don't get any more of these systems. But next time there is, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to have them all down by then. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, back over to surges like we talked about. 1 to 3 foot for the big island here. For the remainder of the other islands here, we are talking 1 to 2 foot here. That includes a lot of Maui, like we said, literally for everybody other than the big island here. So that is what we got going on there. So surges, like we mentioned, is kind of mild for this storm, but still is that. Hold on, Honolulu is it Oahu? Oahu, Hawaii. So we have Hawaii Island, Maui Island, Oahu Island, and Kauai Island. I think I'm getting it. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, back over here though. So yeah, surges are pretty mild for this particular system, but they're still not zero, of course, and there is a little bit of a flooding or a little bit of a surge concern here though. So hopping back over here to this though, I do want to bring you guys back over here to the estimated winds and stuff like that. Like we talked about, we do have the yellow blob here. This is where we do have those tropical storm forced winds. So this is where we are seeing those estimated tropical storm force winds, which you can see a lot of Maui, or actually the entire island here of Maui is included in that. We do, of course, have the big island of Hawaii here inside of those estimated tropical storm force winds here as well. Not to mention, then of course we have the hurricane force winds here across that, kind of reddish area. This is more of a brownish area here. So yeah, across this brown area, this is where we do have those hurricane force winds, that being those sustained winds, those constant winds up to 75 miles per hour here in this case overall. So people also live in Molokai and Lanai Highlands. I'm probably not saying those ones right. Molokai. So which one's Molokai and which... Okay, this one's Lanai, maybe? Maybe this one's Molokai? I'm getting there. I'm close. I'm getting close. Anyways, I promise you guys I'll have it down by the time we do coverage next in Hawaii. I promise you. But anyways, yeah. So that's where we are seeing those estimated wind fields and all, and where those effects are currently at. Now, we still have those hurricane warnings in effect here for the big... Maloki. Gotcha. I think that's right. We still have those hurricane warnings in effect here for the big island of Hawaii. And like we had talked about, tropical storm warnings here in effect for the remainder of the island chain here. So you guys are still in that here. Now, I do want to hop back over here to the... Here, let's hop over here back to the cone as far as the system goes here. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm just going to bring this up. So we're going to hop over to this. We got Lala, which honestly, like we mentioned, I'm surprised it's still a hurricane at this point. Because, I mean, it was supposed to have weakened quite a bit, but it you know what? It held up its intensity, and I think I know exactly why it held its strength is because we had so much warm air ramping off of the big island here of Hawaii, which allowed for a lot of, deep convection to occur. A lot of just a lot of heavy storm activity to occur within that system. Not to mention, a big one is the fact that the core did remain south of the big island here too. I think that's what ultimately ended up the system, or made the system a bit stronger. Not only a bit stronger, but lived longer as a hurricane, as it has been through Hawaii. So, yeah. Let's see here. Dark Asteroid. Thank you so much, friend. I just seen where you have sent the GOAT trophy. Thank you so much, friend. That is really, really sweet of you here. Big shout out goes to Dark Asteroid. Thank you so much, friend. Pronounce vowels like A-E-I-O-U. Or A-E. I'm not going to get into that right now. I tell you what, I got some coverage to do. I'm not doing that right now. But anyways. But yeah, as far as the forecast track goes and kind of where we stand right now, the pressure of the system is down to 988 millibars. Which is a pretty decent amount of low pressure here. Max winds are sustaining 65 knots, which is 75 miles per hour. Storm's moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. So we did pick up a little bit of movement like we talked about here. We did pick up a little bit of movement here to the northwest as, comparing to earlier, it was moving northwest at 8 miles per hour, and now we're moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. So just a little bit of speed increase. So as we go further down in time here for you guys, so as we approach 2 a.m. HST, we are seeing, 70 mile per hour sustained winds here at this point. So this is going to be downgraded into a tropical storm, but, only 5 mile per hour sustained winds off from being a Category 1. So it's still a pretty strong storm. Don't get me wrong. Don't underestimate that. Just because it has a different name change, just because it's not a hurricane, but it's a tropical storm, there's not much difference here other than 5 mile per hour sustained winds. And that's right on the level of between tropical storm and Category 1. So anyways, but yeah, 2 a.m. HST local to you guys. We are seeing 70 sustained, gusting up to 85 still. So we're still putting some gust out, over hurricane or into hurricane strength here. So then, of course, we continue further westward over the next little bit. As we go into 2 o'clock p.m. HST, I think tomorrow I'm probably going to do some more coverage, but more for the western islands here. That's the plan anyways. I'm going to try to do some more coverage here for you guys because I want to cover as much as possible on this storm here for you all. But yeah, but basically what's going on here is that as we go into 2 p.m. HST, we are going to have sustained winds of 60 miles per hour here overall, and we're going to be gusting up to 70 miles per hour at this particular point. Continuing westward here, we're just going to continue the weekend. Like we talked about, there's a little bit of wind shear that's going to be kind of forcing against the storm, which is going to allow it to destabilize its structure a little bit here. But eventually it's going to run out of that wind shear environment here, which is going to stop the weakening of the system. Those sea surface temperatures are still 26, 27, 28 degrees Celsius. There's still a lot of moisture associated with the system. Fairly symmetrical PWatt of 2 to 3 inches, which is pretty darn high. And then because it's going to be in favorable conditions, it is expected to redevelop back into a hurricane here. As we do go into 2 o'clock p.m. HST for the 19th. So on the 19th, we are forecasting this system to re-strengthen back into a hurricane and actually pick up a little bit of strength as it continues working northwest. Anywhere after that, who knows what's going to happen with it. There is a handful of guidance in which I'll go ahead and pull up the spaghetti models here for you guys. Like if we go ahead and pull this up now, we'll hop over to ensembles. We'll do Lala, we'll do GEFS ensembles, we'll do ECMWF, FNV3. We're just going to load them all up here. And if we do look at the latest guidance that we do have here, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. It is definitely pretty self-explanatory. Once we get past that part of the cone here, you can see that there is a big unknown factor with it. I do see 2 very dense areas here. As you can kind of see, it almost looks like some of the models have it going up this way, and then some of the models just have it continually working westward. So it's like either Highway 1 or Highway 2 here. We're not too sure yet. So, but at least for the next several days, the system is going to continue working relatively westward overall. So, Lisa, you're very welcome, friend. You are Very, very welcome. Let's see. Yeah, Tempest. It definitely was. It definitely was. I mean, we actually did a little bit of flashbacks to that here earlier. It was a Category 4 that hit some of the Western Islands. Yeah, you guys definitely got hit pretty good. Aloha says your coverage is appreciated, and possibly next disturbance approaching would help us. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of concern with that one right now. I will go ahead and talk about it real quickly with you guys here. Yeah, we are monitoring not one actually, but two systems in the Pacific here, or at least the Central Eastern Pacific. If I do bring up the tropical weather outlook here, so other than, of course, Lala that's happening now, we have another area here. This is disturbance too. You can kind of see all this thunderstorm activity here with this system. Now, the models, we looked at these earlier. They really didn't support this system doing a whole lot of anything crazy per se. And honestly, there's a pretty good amount of guidance that suggests it just goes south of Hawaii, even if it did do something. So that's one area, has an overall 50% chance of development in the next 7 days, which is it's possible, half. And the probability of it becoming a depression through the next 48 hours is a 0% chance. So we're not expecting it to do anything in the next 2 days, but there is a 50% chance of the storm at least becoming a tropical depression, which, if you don't know, it's under tropical storm status. That's where tropical development really begins, is at the tropical wave turning into tropical disturbance, turning into tropical depression, turning into tropical storm, then into hurricane. There's a lot of steps involved here, but anyways, but yeah, 50% chance overall for that. And then there's one more area here in the EPAC, the Eastern Pacific here. So you have Mexico, this is just west of Mexico. 40% chance of development in the next 7 days, which is still unlikely. And even over the next 48 hours, 0% chance. So yeah, these guys aren't too much of a concern right now. I mean, definitely by far the biggest problem is, a million times, yes, the biggest problem is Lala currently. So anyways, but yeah, Lala is definitely quite the beast of the storm here. Let's see here. I live in Florida. We get hit quite a bit. Yeah, Florida definitely does get a pretty good amount of tropical activity here. Last year, it was a complete dud. We didn't even get any hurricane landfalls in the U.S. last year, which I'm thankful for. Year before, though, 24, Milton and Helene beat the crap out of Florida. Yeah, Florida had a rough 24 season. Not to mention also Debbie, too. Debbie brought a little bit of... I think Debbie was a Cat 1 at Big Bend, Florida landfall. Let's see here. Oh, really, Lisa? Really? It was powerful. Yeah, well, I'm glad to see you're safe from it, though. That's what matters. And, the thing is, guys, is that, items and houses and stuff like that can usually be replaced, right? But lives cannot, unfortunately. And the fact that you made it through is the most precious thing of all, the most important thing of all. And that's what's most important here, is making sure that you guys are making it through, this system here. And I really hope by, the hours we've been putting in the coverage here the last several days, talking about this system, I really hope I made an impact on how you guys prepared for the system and how you guys ultimately ended out from this system. So, once again, I just want to go ahead and say, everybody who's here, thank you for choosing me to be part of your all's coverage and all that stuff. I really do appreciate it. You guys are absolutely amazing, and much love to y'all. Yeah, 2004 was a bad season for Florida. Absolutely. Yep. Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Janine. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, hopping back over here, y'all, back into the rainfall projections. Now, once again, this is from the Weather Prediction Center here. This is the WPC. Now, this is, once again, not what's still yet to come. This is just overall precipitation forecast here out of the system. As far as it goes here, we do have that isolated amount up to 25 inches here across the dark red area here, which is we are expecting 16 to 20, but some amount up to 25 inches is possible here. Across the red, we do have 12 to 16 inches here. The orange, 8 to 12. Once again, eastern Maui has a little bit of that here too, which is that 8 to 12 inch margin. The dark yellow, we have that 6 to 8 margin here, which covers a little sliver here of the Big Island, a little bit of even Maui as well. And then, of course, 4 to 6 across the yellow, which includes a lot of these other islands here. A lot of the central chain here is in that 4 to 6 inch margin there overall. 2 to 4 across the dark green, and of course 1 to 2 across the light green here. So once again, back over to surge forecast here. This is what we're talking about as far as the surges. Here for the Big Island of Hawaii, this is where we do have that 1 to 3 foot storm surge, where we were expecting the water levels to rise 1 to 3 foot above sea level because of the fact that there's such heavy winds here with the system pushing towards those coastal areas, causing it to swell up quite a bit, rise that water level of about 1 to 3 foot across the Big Island. Now, for everybody else, like we talked about here, we are seeing that margin of 1 to 2 foot, basically where we are still expecting surges to occur, but 1 to 3 foot for the Big Island, everybody else 1 to 2 foot. So the water could rise 1 to 2 foot. Not to mention there's waves on top of that there too. So the water could come in pretty far into those coastal areas there, which, just a bit of a heads up there for that. Because the wave height could be pretty high itself. Just basically the water level is what we're talking about. The wave height could be even higher than that, so that could go over into that. So just a bit of a heads up there. But as far as it goes, with the flooding and all, that's a partial factor to the flooding, but the biggest factor once again is by far the rain that we're just seeing out of the system here overall. So here's actually the wind history. We haven't really pulled it up in this particular stream. We did it in the earlier part 1 stream here. This is where we did have those tropical storm force winds and those hurricane force winds here. You can see the yellow. This is where we did have those estimated tropical storm force winds here overall. Across the red here, this is where we had those hurricane force winds here overall. You can see that the southern island or the southern point of the Big Island here of Hawaii, they did get clipped into those hurricane forced winds overall. So, the Ocean View area, you guys absolutely got hit pretty darn hard here by this system overall. Definitely is a pretty strong system here. Overall. But hopping back over to radar view, switching back over here to the PHKM radar here. So looking over here at the latest radar data here that we have, and you can see that the system's continually working its way over here to the northwest overall. Unfortunately, we did lose the PHWA radar here down on the southern tip of the Big Island of Hawaii. I'm not sure what exactly happened there with that particular is that lightning activity? Oh, wow. Yeah, it looks like we have a little bit of lightning activity popping up here in some of those outer bands here that's in the eastern side of the Big Island. But anyways, PHWA here, that radar is down. We're not sure why. I don't know if it's like if the radar's damaged from the winds or something, or if it's just simply like a power outage or something like that. I'm not too sure, but we did lose that radar there. PHKM though, that's the radar we do actively have at the moment, and which is good though, because a PHWA radar at this point would not really provide much useful data. Considering if we did go over to it, you can see that the storm is now hidden. At this point, the last frame that we had here, the storm was all the way over here at that point, and you can see that the radar is not really useful anymore to looking at the center of that storm, but now that we have PHKM here, of course, we do have a better view as it came around the corner here. But yeah, looking towards the center, one thing I am noticing here, I'm going to go ahead and pause this frame right here. One thing I am really noticing is the fact that we have some really here. Let me use a different color here, and we'll make the brush size a little bit bigger here. We'll use like a pinkish color. So yeah. Most of that heavy precipitation you can kind of see is like this. It's almost like a U shape. Now, we do have some of that precipitation over here as well, of course. But if you look closely, we do have these areas, which this kind of looks like some dry slots. Now, obviously, we are expecting that dry spot here in the middle of that storm. That's pretty typical. But it looks like the precipitation not only becomes somewhat dry in some of these areas, but it also becomes fairly light here, as opposed to that heavier reflectivity that we have around the the top 3 sides here of that, the east, west, and top side. And then the bottom side, you can see here we do have that a little bit lighter precipitation from the way that it looks here. So that's a good sign that, the system could be struggling a little bit. Not to mention earlier scans almost had that whole center pretty much waterlogged at that point. So, I don't know. It's really hard to say. But regardless, though, what we do know is that, those heavy impacts are still continuing. Yeah, the western side of the Big Island are definitely feeling it now. Pretty darn good. We're getting a lot of rain out there. I do want to bring up the estimated rain totals here from this radar perspective. We looked at them a little bit earlier here on the big side, or sorry, the right hand side of the Big Island here. According to the PHKM radar here, honestly, I mean it really doesn't look like a whole lot fell for those western areas up by like Captain Cook area. Maybe 2-3 inches or so. A lot of the rain really fell across those eastern sides here. Yeah, the west is definitely not expecting as big of a concern. As far as the rainfall and all goes, I mean, there is still a concern, of course, but like I said, the thing is that warm air ramped off the mountain here. It collided with the cooler air up in the upper atmosphere, and all that warm air condensed into water droplets, which eventually fell as rain, and then that rain just kind of fell down those slopes and piled up towards those coastal areas. Not to mention we had all that surging that was pushing in on those coastal areas. So yeah, between the warm air ramping up, cooling down, precipitating, falling back on the Big Island, rolling down the mountains here back to those coastal areas, plus the surges pushing inland, that's a big coastal flooding concern. And that's the reason why, there was such a big deal with precipitation on this system, is because of that forced lift from the geography of the Big Island of Hawaii. The topography, the geography, whatever. The topography was, really what allowed there to be so much more rain out of the system. Now, if it was flat, honestly, there wouldn't be nearly as much rain. If the Big Island of Hawaii was flat like Florida is, I mean, yes, there would be some heavy rain in all, several inches, of course, but probably not nearly as much as what we have seen here with this system. So that's really the bad thing. That's where y'all's geography kind of fought back a little bit here. Now, as far as precipitation goes for the other islands here, like Honolulu, it doesn't look like we picked up a whole lot. Now, remember, this is radar estimated precipitation here. This is not approximated, but radar's pretty decent at estimating about how much rain we've seen. By no means is it perfect, but it does show that we really haven't seen a whole lot. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of kind of showers coming in and out of the Honolulu area. Kind of in and out, which is allowed for little spurts of rainfall, a little bit of accumulation over time. But yeah, it doesn't look like we've really seen a whole lot of rain as of now. But like I mentioned, the impacts are still continuing. Actually, in fact, all tonight through tomorrow, it's not really going to be until like Monday morning that we're going to really feel those conditions really start to let up for a lot of those people. In fact, I do want to bring up some models here. Let's actually hop over to the HWRF model here. We're going to go ahead and pull up that model, and we're going to take a look here at the future radar based off of this model. So let's go back to composite reflectivity here. This is the 0 Zulu run here from the HWRF model here. So the time here, I'm actually going to go ahead and bring it back up into Hawaiian time here. So let's go ahead and do that here. So you guys can see the time up here in this area on the top right. So this is the model time, essentially. So 5 o'clock p.m., which you guys are right now... What time is it for you guys right now? Isn't it 9:39 p.m.? I think that's your guys' time right now, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, so yeah, this is already past at this point. So as we approach right around 11 o'clock HST, you can still see like Honolulu getting a couple of these bands here. Same thing for some of those western islands here overall. A lot of islands like Maui, of course, and some of the surrounding islands really seeing a pretty good amount of rainfall falling at this particular moment there as well for 11 p.m. this evening. Then we go into the morning. This is 2 a.m. HST. At this point, more heavier rainfall working its way towards Honolulu. Now, remember, this is one piece of the puzzle. This is just one model. This is just one run here at all. As we go into 5 o'clock a.m. local, at this point, Honolulu likely getting a lot more consistent rainfall. 8 o'clock a.m. getting a lot of heavy rainfall out there and, really seeing those effects here into tomorrow afternoon. So, like I mentioned, I'm probably going to have to do some coverage here tomorrow, too, at least for our western friends here in Hawaii. Our friends on the western side of Hawaii. And then, of course, as we go basically into the evening of Sunday into Monday morning, at that point, those conditions will rapidly improve, in which, we'll definitely be looking a whole lot better. But like I mentioned, where we stand right now, yeah, it's still pretty nasty as far as things go. And unfortunately, the worst is still yet to come for, a lot of these islands here, especially up by Maui and, Honolulu. I mean, we still have the worst yet to come here for you guys, unfortunately. So, you all please be careful out there. Just please be safe. And like I mentioned, if you guys have any questions here while I'm live, do not hesitate to ask. I mean, like I mentioned, I'm definitely more than happy to be here for you guys and all that. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing, maybe leaving a like. It's free to do so, and it definitely helps the YouTube algorithm and helps us out here in general. Not to mention, it allows and make sure that you guys can stay tuned with the channel. That way, we can keep you guys updated here for future systems other than Lala. Like I said, if there's any other system that comes out to Hawaii, we'll be on it. We'll be on it. Also, something I wanted to share with you guys. Is earlier, apparently, from what I've heard some reports that on the Big Island of Hawaii, on those mountaintops, there was reports of snow. Now, the air is much thinner the higher you go up here. The air temperature is much cooler the higher you go up there. There is a lot of moisture being forced upwards right off the mountain, and those winds, I heard, were well over 100 miles per hour. That's from a report that I saw earlier. I don't know exactly how true that is, per se, but regardless, though, I mean that's pretty crazy to think. But anyways, just wanted to kind of mention that out there. Anyways, but yeah, hopping back over here, I tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to switch back over here into the wind speeds, the expected wind speeds here from these models. I am going to bring up the HAFSA model here on Lala, and we're also going to look at the wind gusts, what the winds could peak to here, based off of this model. Now, remember, this is just one model, one run, so take this with a grain of salt here, but this is roughly what we could be seeing here overall. Let's see here. James says, peace to everyone and stay safe in Hawaii Islands. Absolutely, everybody. Yeah, you guys, please stay safe out there. And like I mentioned, I'm here for you guys. Like I said, I wanted to be here again later on to this evening, which we are here. I mean, right now it's 3:42 a.m. my time, so it is late. And I ain't gonna lie with you, I'm a little bit tired, but I'm gonna keep going for a little bit here for you guys, at least until that 2-hour mark. I definitely plan on being here, but I'm going to get some rest here after we finish this stream, which is probably still going to be a little bit away, but I'm going to get some rest, and then I'm going to stream again for you guys here as the storm goes over into these waters here. Yeah. I've been a busy man. Anyways, but yeah, going into the wind gusts here, looking at the HAFSA model here. As we work our way down in time, you can see, so this is for 2 o'clock. This is Eastern time here. Let me exchange back into Honolulu time once again. There we go. So this is 8 p.m. HST. So this is roughly right about now. You can kind of see, according to the HFSA model here, from now until 11 HST from this model, we could see some strong winds out there in Maui, in which we are seeing maybe 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts out there. I mean, you could see. I mean, out there by Walia. Walia, I think it might be. Yeah, 76 mile per hour winds out there, according to this particular model. Keoki, I think that's how you say that, is 73. Out there by Pukalani, 69 miles per hour. Yeah, but anyways, according to this model, we do have 60, maybe 70 mile per hour winds impacting of course, a lot of central Maui there, which is definitely some pretty strong winds. Out there by Honolulu, just Honolulu, just the island here in general, we are seeing anywhere from 30 to maybe 40, up to 50 mile per hour wind gusts being possible out there at this time. The Western Islands here, some strong winds definitely is possible, but those stronger winds are going to be a little bit later on. So we continue further down in time as we approach here into 8 o'clock a.m. HST. According to this HAFSA model, we're seeing a lot of those wind gusts, maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour here across a lot of like the island here towards Honolulu, of course. The Western Islands here, possibly 30, maybe 40 mile per hour wind gusts here as well. And then, of course, we are going to pick up a little bit on our winds here as we go into 2 p.m. Tomorrow, in which you can see over here on the Western Islands, good 40, maybe 50 miles per hour here overall. Now, as far as it goes for the other islands, you can see at this point, the Big Island of Hawaii is definitely calming down quite a bit. At this point, we're seeing some gusts. I mean, still possibly 14, 20 miles per hour, but honestly, I mean, that's pretty okay. That's okay to deal with. Better than, 100 mile per hour wind gusts or more, that we've been seeing here out of the system. So, I mean, that's better to take that than those 100 mile hour winds. But anyways, yeah, still pretty windy across those Western Islands here at this point, going into the evening hours. But as we go to the late evening into the early morning hours of Monday, at that point, a lot of those conditions will really start to improve for everybody here in Hawaii. So definitely happy to say that. But we have a little bit more to go through, unfortunately. I mean, still about 3/4 of the event to go through. So we still have quite a bit, unfortunately. So between the coverage we did earlier, the coverage we're doing now, and I'll probably do some coverage here later on tomorrow at some point, which whenever I get up. I mean, right now it's 3:46 a.m., so the earlier I go to bed, the earlier I can get up and do the coverage there for you guys. So I definitely do plan on doing such. All right, y'all, let's hop back over here to the Hurricane Center. So this is, once again, the latest WPC graphic here. It really hasn't changed a whole lot. What's up, broski? Good to see you, friend. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, so this is the latest WPC graphic as far as how much rainfall we are expecting in this event in general. Once again, this is not how much more we are expecting out of this event. This is how much total we're expecting out of the event here. So we are seeing isolated amounts, once again, up to 25 inches here across that dark red area here. We're expecting 16 to 20 inches in that region with gusts. Not gusts. With isolated amounts, inches-wise, up to 25. My brain's kind of scattered. I've been scattered, not scattered. Like I said, it's 3:47 in the morning. My brain's not fully here right now, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, we are expecting 16 to 20 across the dark green. Dark green. I just need to go to bed. No, 16 to 20 in the dark red with isolated amounts up to 25. That's what I meant to say. That's what I meant to say here. So then we have the regions here in the dark red, 12 to 16 inches. The orange, 8 to 12. The dark yellow, 6 to 8. The yellow, 4 to 6, which includes a lot of the other islands here. 2 to 4 across the green, the dark green, and of course the light green here, 1 to 2. Please check on Texas. I'm not going to do that right now, friend. We're just focusing on Hawaii for the stream. Anyways, yeah, not to mention our warning counter is pretty low. We don't have any tornado warnings. We have one severe thunderstorm warning, but that's not really anything to fully hop over to the U.S., the mainland for. So, anyways, so yeah, that's what we got going on there with that system. Once again, as far as surging goes and all, we are seeing 1 to 3 foot of surges across the big island here, 1 to 2 foot across the other islands here. So definitely quite a little bit of surges expected here. I mean, it could have been a whole lot worse with the surges, but still, we are expecting some surges. Some coastal flooding is definitely expected for a lot of people out there. And then, so between that, the rainfall, a lot of water is involved here, saltwater flooding, freshwater flooding, and all that stuff. Now, going over here to the wind speed probabilities here, as far as the probability of seeing tropical storm force conditions. I mean, this was the update as of 2 p.m. HST, so this is a little bit behind, of course. But yeah, obviously, this is where we see sustained winds, 1 minute average of 39 miles per hour or greater. As you can see, that we have 90 to 100% for the Big Island. It's to be expected here. And then, of course, we do have, the probability is changing quite a bit here, of course, the more you go to the west overall. But definitely, regardless, seeing some gusts well into tropical storm force for everybody there. So, but if we do actually switch over here to the sustained winds here, in which we will go ahead and do. So this is that constant winds of X miles an hour, not the gust. I mean, you can see that those winds could be pretty darn strong here. I mean, we're talking those tropical storm force winds, once again, 39 or greater. And, of course, the hurricane force being, 74 or greater here. So, but, yeah, as far as you can really see that this is for 11 p.m. Wow. According to the HAFSA model here, at 11 p.m. HST, we could have sustained winds around this time of a good maybe 60 to maybe even 70 plus mile per hour winds for some of those peaks, some of those higher elevations out there. What's up, Tabletop? Good to see you. So yeah, definitely some strong winds involved there. Now you see these wind barbs and kind of the direction the winds are flowing in here overall. At this point, Honolulu seeing sustained winds maybe between 20, I'd say upward of 30 miles an hour being possible, which is still like subtropical storm force at this time. We continue further down in time here. And it actually looks like, yeah, those conditions really start to improve as we go into Sunday evening overall. But like we had talked about, those wind gusts we're going to be seeing well in the tropical storm force. We talked about maybe 40, even 50 mile per hour winds and stuff like that. So definitely is pretty strong. All right, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to pull up the current observations. We're going to take a look at the current data coming in here from the, from these AWAS stations that we do have out here. ASOS stations that we have out here. It looks like we have 46 mile per hour winds being reported out here, and out there by Maui. Let's see here. So we did have sustained winds peaking already to 36 miles per hour. So I mean that's near tropical storm sustained winds there. But it looks like our gusts have been up to 56 out there. So that's what I'm saying. Those gusts are going to be much higher. What's up, Addicted? Good to see you, friend. Lots of trees down. Yeah, I bet there is. Well, you please be careful out there, friend. And like I said, if you have any questions that goes to anybody, let me know. Do not hesitate to ask. Let's see here. West of Maui, we have this, the island just west of Maui here, between Honolulu there too. This one we've had, wow. Okay, we had max winds up to 61 miles per hour, and we had sustained winds, max sustained winds up to 31. So once again, that just really goes to show you that you can have stronger gusts than your sustained winds. So yeah, we see max sustained winds here of 31 miles per hour, and we've seen the gusts maxing up to apparently 61 at some point here. So there's 58 there. I mean, yeah, definitely a pretty good amount. Now over here by Honolulu, we actually have 3 stations here west of Honolulu. Max of 41 mile per hour winds there, or gusts on that one. Max of 33 on this one. And then as far as this guy goes here, max of 39. So, I mean, we are definitely gusting into tropical storm force already out there by like Honolulu, but like we mentioned, the strongest of the winds are going to be felt later on for you guys here. And then over here by Kauai, I think I got this one right. This is where we do have reports here of 38 mile per hour wind gusts being reported here. With sustained winds here, just kind of all over the place here, pretty much upwards of 29, which is still sub-tropical storm force conditions. So even though those gusts are a little bit higher and all. Let's see, west side of Maui was, 76-ish, most power out. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of power outages out there. In fact, I do have a power outage map I can pull up for you guys. So as of the last time we updated this, which was a little bit ago, let's go ahead and re-update this actually. So where we're actually at now, you can see that we actually have 72.5% of the people on the big island of Hawaii is without power, which out of 90.5K people tracked, 65.6K people are without power. For Maui County, out of the 5 islands that we have here, there is a moth in my room. So if you see it flying on the camera, don't be surprised. But here for Maui County, we have 29.13% of people without power, which is out of 71,678 people, 20,881 here in Maui County without power. For Honolulu County, we are talking out of 310,000 people, 17,688 people are without power, which is 5.7% as of right now. And then, of course, as we go into Kauai County, we only have 10 people as of right now, which is 0.03% of the 37,000 people who live out there. So, yeah, that's kind of what we got going on there. So, not a whole lot of people without power in Kauai County, Honolulu County, a little bit of people. Maui County, a pretty good amount of people, and then definitely Hawaii County, a lot of people are without power there. So, out of the entirety of Hawaii, out of 510,000 people, 104,000, so 1/5, roughly, of Hawaii's population right now is without power. So, and those numbers, unfortunately, are probably only going to rise as, those conditions continue to worsen in some areas, and as those harsh conditions still continue for a lot of people for still several hours to come, unfortunately. I mean, we still have, I'd say, about 24 hours of this mess until all those effects are out of Hawaii completely. So, because like we had talked about, it's going to be really for the morning of Monday is when those winds are really going to subside for the western sides of Hawaii, out to by Kauai County, and which at that point, at that point, that's when the system will be pretty much completely out of that area. But yeah, like I said, my prayers are going to be with you guys. I really hope that everybody's okay, and I hope that everybody continues to stay safe in the storm here. I mean, it's it's been a pretty beast of a storm. I'll tell you that. I mean, it's been a pretty good one to track here. I mean, despite it being a Category 1, man, it was a feisty one. It was a tough one, and with all that rain, especially that we've seen out of that, the surges, like I said, was kind of mild for a tropical system, but I mean, 1 to 3 foot still enough to cause problems. That's 1 to 3 foot above sea level for the Big Island here. Not to mention the big wave, how tall those waves are on top of that. I mean, that's a pretty good amount of water coming in, higher than it usually does. Plus all that water running off the mountain into those lower areas by the coastal regions. A lot of water was involved. A lot of you guys in the Big Island really got a lot of just soaking rain. I mean, soaking is an understatement, honestly. Waterlogged is a better statement. Waterlogged is a better statement to say. Anyways, I do want to hop over here to the satellite imagery once again. Now, this time we're going to bring up the water vapor view. We'll do simple water vapor, which, yeah, you can kind of see the black indicates dry air, or non-moisturized air, or that's one way to put it. Air that doesn't have much moisture in it, essentially. Then, of course, you have the bluish, the whites especially. That's where we have some of the most of the moisture, in which we definitely have a lot of that across these white areas. That's kind of where a lot of the heavy rain is falling and stuff like that here. A lot of heavy rain going off across a lot of these areas here currently. But anyways, as far as the satellite goes, you can see as we've been going down in time, I mean, it's not really bringing in any dry air, or not much dry air in the system. I mean, that really wasn't expected to be much of a concern with the system. As far as how far it goes is moisture. Moisture was never really an issue with the storm dying or anything. In fact, there is a lot of moisture here. Like I said, there was a lot of moisture here that is in the system. Let's see here. I'm making it sound like it's over. It's definitely not over. And in fact, a few minutes ago, I literally just said that we still have about 24 hours of this mess to go. So I don't know what you're saying, man. But I tell you what, though, we did have some of the heaviest effects already happen. And that was for a lot of the eastern sides of the Big Island here. They've already gotten some of the worst of this system. So depends, but no, it's not over yet. No, it's definitely not over yet. We still have several hours to go, unfortunately, because while the threat has already peaked through the climax here for the Big Island, is on the way down, we're still to peak across the other areas here, especially like Honolulu and some of those other western islands here. You guys still have the worst to come for you guys, unfortunately. All right, let's change up our satellite view here. We'll go from the simple IR here to, let's do our geo color once again, so we can kind of see the nighttime mode here as far as the satellite imagery goes. This one might take a few seconds to load here. Oh, there you go. There's the latest scan, as you can see. You can see the blackish area here. This is where we don't really have any cloud cover. This is where the skies are fairly clear. Of course, some of the grays and the whites is where we start to see a lot of cloud cover. And you can see total overcast skies here across those white areas here, especially for the Big Island here of Hawaii and of course, going out there by like Maui, we have a lot of cloud cover out here. But if we go back all the way towards like sunset here, just before sunset, or right around during sunset, you can see here that we did have some areas of convection popping off here, decent bubbling on top of the storms there, there you go. You can really see it on those scans. It's very wavy, as you can kind of see, very turbulent, and as we've continued down, you can see that it is in fact continuing northwestward. Now that I think about it, now that I look at it, you know what? There might be a little bit of dry air kind of being pulled into the system. So look real closely right here. So you see there's that obvious circulation going on, but if you pay attention on some of the last few scans, look at this. Do you notice this area here? That right there, friends, I believe is some drier air getting its way into that storm. Which is a good thing, of course. Definitely a good thing. So because of that should allow the storm to weaken here fairly soon, I'm hoping. Like I said, not to mention there is a little bit of wind shear. That's going to be a bit of a concern here for this system. So that's going to allow it to weaken further here. Let's go and hop back to the Hurricane Center. Let's see what they got over here. We haven't done an update in a minute. Let's see. Need you on once an hour. Oh, yeah? Here, let's actually head back over here to main page NHC. Yeah, still a hurricane. Still a hurricane. This is as of 8 p.m. HST. So you guys, it's... What time is it now for you guys? Is it 10? Yeah, it's 10 p.m. HST right now, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, latest update here, latest advisory. We still are hurricane. We have our minimum pressure down to 988 millibars. Max sustained winds up to 75. So that's constant winds at peak within the core of that storm is up to 75 here overall. And of course, we're gusting higher. The latest cone here, if I go ahead and pull this up here for you guys, yeah, the latest cone still has us gusting potentially up to 100 mile per hour winds here, as you can see. So, I mean, we're still Cat 1 currently, where the system is right now. I tell you what, I'm curious to see if the hurricane hunters are flying. Earlier, they didn't have any missions going on here. I was wondering if they were going to issue any more recon missions after the system already passed through. Let's see, AF 302. So they've already flown back to Hawaii, or sorry, not Hawaii, California. They've flown from Hawaii to California. NOAA 2, they did a mission a while back. Yeah, it looks like we really haven't had any hurricane hunter missions. I mean, you can see where the last mission took place from the NOAA hurricane hunters, because you got the NOAA hurricane hunters, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and then you have the Air Force AF hurricane hunters. So Air Force have already dipped out. It looks like they've already went back home to California. And then of course we do have the NOAA hurricane hunters, I believe, still probably somewhere in Honolulu. I'm sure they probably parked. Yeah, you can see this was the last position update they had a while ago, though. This was a while back. So I think the hurricane hunters are pretty much done for now. Let me pull up tropical tidbits, make sure that there's no glitches going on. Yeah, past 6 hours, there's been no aircraft reconnaissance. So yeah, we're good. We don't have any hurricane hunters in it right now, unfortunately. It would be kind of nice if we did, but not completely necessary at the moment, I guess. But yeah, so as of the latest update, we do have that. I think we should have another update here on the hurricane hunters, or sorry, not hurricane hunters, the hurricane center. We should have another update here probably in about an hour, I'm thinking. I believe they've been updating every 3 hours. Last they said was Lala remains a hurricane as it continues northwestward onto the leeward side of the Big Island here. Let's see here. Damaging winds. Heavy rain will persist across the Big Island in Maui County overnight and spread westward across Oahu and Kauai County on Sunday. I think I said that wrong. I think you guys told me that it said somewhere, or said something. I can't even speak properly. I think you guys said that it's pronounced a different way, is what I should say. But like I mentioned, between the advisory we have now and the previous advisory, earlier, like we were talking about, it was moving northwest at 8 miles per hour, and now it's moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. So it's picked up a little bit of speed. It has picked up a little bit of speed here. But yeah, as of 8 o'clock p.m., which was 2 hours ago, I mean, this thing was a Category 1. I mean, at this point, I would still say it's probably still a Cat 1. If not, I mean, because we were sustained at 75 earlier. We were gusting up to 100. It's either sustaining about 70 to 75 right now at the current moment here. But officially, as of the last advisory, it is still a hurricane. So we're still going to call it a hurricane until they show otherwise. Let's see here. That's right around the airport. Yeah, it is. I think they probably landed at Honolulu Airport. Let's see here. Winds are still strong in Ocean View, just not as consistent. I got you. Yeah, I mean, that's to be expected for a little bit here. Let me check back up on the radar. Here, let's go ahead and get rid of the satellite imagery here real quickly. Let me go ahead and pull up our radar imagery. We'll do radar reflectivity. Oh, I don't want to know what reflectivity is. I already know what it is. I click on the little icon here to tell you what reflectivity is. It's basically just rainfall rate. Based off of DBZ. Okay, so this was the radar. I believe this is the radar over here, just east of Honolulu. Okay, this is out in Maui County still, I believe. Let me change radars, though. Let me go to PHKM. So this is the one we have. To be honest with you, it definitely looks pretty darn good. On the radar imagery, that dry air we had talked about, I mean, you could definitely kind of see some of those pockets with, drier air, but just in between those bands. But we now have a full amount of pretty decent moderate to light to moderate precipitation. I mean, actually, honestly, more moderate to heavy. It's just a little bit farther out, but around the center there. So you can obviously tell where the center of that storm is. I mean, it's obviously right there. That's where the middle of it is. But anyways, but yeah. Yeah, like I said, we're currently sustained at 75, gusting to 100 still. But yeah, given the fact that Ocean View here, if we go and load up the latest data here, you can still see that we do have a lot of that south to north flow, which a lot of that wind is still going over the Ocean View area. I mean, it's still going to be windy probably for a bit, and so that it's probably not going to fully lighten up, but it should get better. You're probably just seeing stronger gusts rather than sustained winds. Let's see, I got the best maps. I don't know about all that, but I do appreciate it. I think they're pretty good. I do like them. Aguacero is a great program to use, and I really do love this program. So yeah, looking at the forecast cone, as you can kind of see, so here's the cone, of course, and the middle ground has it going right there on that path, but it seems like it might be veering a little bit further north. You guys see that? It really kind of looks like it might be pushing a little bit further north. Now, obviously, we're not expecting this system to make any more landfalls. It really didn't make a full-fledged landfall, but it did skim the southern side of the Big Island. But it's not going to go up and make landfall in these areas, so don't worry about that. Let's see here. So it looks much healthier than I really thought. Yeah, that was me too. That was me too. As soon as I pull up that radar image, I'm like, wow, it still looks pretty decent here. Misty, thank you for the MVP, friend. Appreciate the support. Let's see here. Is it accessible website for the general public? Yeah, so actually this is a program we're actually sponsored by. You can see in the bottom left, aguacerowx.com. You can use code NWW20 to get all these fancy features like we have here. So if you want to check that out, be sure to use code NWW20 for 20% off your first month. Let's see here. Appreciate you doing a live stream. Of course. Do I think there'll be any flights in the AM from Honolulu? No. I highly doubt it. Tabletops will have a live stream coming for Severe Risk in the upcoming week. Maybe. We've just been mainly focusing on our Hawaii friends over here. I shifted covers because before the system, I've been focusing on, of course, the severe weather events in the main 48 states. Since you guys had this concern, all my attention is shifted to you guys. But yeah, we're going to go back into severe weather coverage. I need a day off after this mess rolls through, so I'll probably take a day off. I mean, maybe. You know me, sometimes I say that and then I don't end up taking a day off and stream anyways, but I've been streaming a lot lately. Like we did 3 hours earlier, we did 3.5 hours this morning. Now we've been live here 2 hours, a little over 2 hours here overall. So I mean, we've been streaming a pretty good amount here, and then plus before that, we've done multiple streams here to keep you all in the loop of everything. Let's see here. Thanks for the insight on Ocean View. Of course, you're the best accident I've had all day. I don't know if that's a compliment or if that's an insult, but all right. Anyways, but yeah, so as far as everything's going here, so we could still see that counterclockwise movement here. So we are still seeing some of those strong winds really kind of pushing against those undersides of the Big Island here, and that still is leading to a bit of a it is leading to a bit of a surge potential still. I mean, we are expecting, once again, 1 to 3 foot of surges across the Big Island here. Now, up top, I want to go ahead and mention this here. If you're across, the northeastern side of the Big Island here, or just the eastern side, you notice how the winds are kind of going this way. So this is actually kind of pulling the water away from the coast over here, as opposed to on the other side, it's pushing that water towards the coast. Because of that counterclockwise movement here. Now, like I said, there's still a lot of rain going on here. Definitely some flooding and stuff like that's happening right now. And so that is, that's what we're seeing here with this particular system, or this particular area, I should say, from this system at this moment. But one big thing is the rip currents and stuff like that. I'm sure those rip currents are absolutely terrible for a lot of you guys right now. And I better not see anybody surfing out there. I know it's tempting. Do not do it. Seriously, it is a big hazard to do so because rip currents, can sweep away even the best of swimmers away from the coast and out to sea. And especially with all those rough waters and stuff like that, you could get lost, which is stay away from the waters. Come on, people. Like I said, I know it's tempting. I know it's tempting with the big waves and all, but not a good idea. Definitely not a good idea. Anyways, but yeah. So right now, as of the latest update, once again, this was as of 8 p.m. HST. This is about 2 hours old. The system here was, at that time, a Category 1 storm here sustaining 75 miles per hour, so constant winds of 75 miles per hour here. And we are gusting to 100 miles per hour here. So, we are definitely still seeing likely some pretty strong wind gusts. I'd say 100 miles per hour at this point, unlikely. But I'd still say definitely pretty strong. I'd say at least 80 miles per hour or so at this point, considering that the core is farther away from the Big Island. There is still some really strong winds, especially on those upper elevations there too. So let's see. All compliments. I thought you were Northwest weather. Oh, really? Huh. No, this is just me and my own business. Yeah, I just do my own thing here. Let's see here. Well, I tried to go to sleep, but it actually intensified in Fern Forest. Heavy winds and some serious gusts, probably over 60 miles per hour. Also lightning in the area. Radar's offline, so I don't know. Yeah, actually, I mentioned that a little bit ago, that I did see some lightning activity there on the eastern side. Yeah, unfortunately, our last radar update was at 8:17 HST. So the radar, the PHWA radar here for the eastern side of the Big Island, unfortunately, it went offline. I hope there's no damage to the radar, but it is a possibility. Considering what they went through, wouldn't be surprised if that radar's damaged in some formal way. But, because that radar is basically near the coast here. It's right on the coast, basically. Whoa. Hello. What's going on here, man? Oh, these are my arrows. Okay, I was wondering. I was like, wait a minute. What's happening here? But yeah, no, that radar is down. That's all we know is that it is down. I don't know if it's because if you think about it, they usually have generators to back it up. So I don't think it's a power issue. It could either be a network issue. It could either be a network issue is very realistic, or physical damage, physical issue. I'm not too sure, but at least we have PHKM because PHWA would not be of any use to what's going on over here. Because if we look at the latest scans from that, you can see that there's a big radar cutoff here because of the terrain. The mountains block it all. The mountain blocks everything here. So, yeah, and of course everything here just east of the island was good to have. It was good to have initially, but now we're over here, I recommend anyways we use PHKM here. But you can really see where the center of that storm is. It's going a little bit further north, it looks like. If I go ahead and play this in motion, like if we go down in time, like I said, it looks like it is moving. Let me try to redraw that. I kind of messed that up a little bit. It looks like it is kind of going like this. You know what I'm saying? So it is kind of diverging from that center line on the forecast cone here. Which, these systems can wobble quite a bit, and they can be a little bit off-center, but the big thing is that it's still in the cone. It's still in that expected area where it's going to be. So, but yeah, we're definitely really seeing that strong counterclockwise flow with the system here. And at this particular point, if you think about it, like if we look at the western side of the Big Island here, and just knowing the flow of the winds and everything, so you could imagine this is basically the direction the winds are going in. So on the southern side, they're getting directly impacted. Over on the western side, mainly parallel winds to the coast, so winds flowing in line with the coast, and then up on the northwestern side, the winds are actually pulling away from the coast here. So yeah, it's doing a little bit of different stuff at different areas here, essentially. But yeah, there is the center of that storm right now. I tell you what, though, I am going to bring up the velocity here. Now, this is only one way to estimate how strong these winds are, so do not take full-on approximations. Now, this is 7,700 feet up, and velocity is showing 62 miles per hour. Over here, it's showing 50 or so miles per hour. You can't really buy those winds. First of all, tropical systems have the strongest winds on the surface, and 7,000 feet up is pretty high up. So that's the first big thing I wanted to tell you guys about. Not to mention the distance of how far away this radar is from these levels here. It's pretty large. I'd say easily 50 miles or so. Probably even more, honestly. And so that's why we really can't take that too seriously. But yeah, if we did have a closer radar to like scan right on underneath it, then yeah, it'd probably be a little bit more accurate. But yeah, where we stand now with it now. I mean, you can see the center here on the other radar here. The other radar shows maybe 60, 70 mile per hour winds there. This is scanning at 12,000 feet, which is a lot higher than the other radar. But one thing we do got to look out here for too is actually like water spouts and a little bit of a tornadic concern, especially on that eastern side of these systems. So that's the thing about tropical systems is that we call the dirty side, the nasty side of the storm is on the right-hand side of the hurricane, so the right-hand quadrant. Typically the right upper quadrant here is like the worst part of the storm. That's where you see the strongest winds, the best mixing ratios for tornadic activity, strongest flow, the strongest winds essentially, is really felt on the right hand side. And that's where we could see a couple of water spouts and maybe some tornadoes and stuff like that included. What factors could cause this system to suddenly take a more northern path? Kinematics, wind shear. Basically, the winds in the lower upper levels of the atmosphere, that's not a part of Lala itself. That's acting upon Lala. So let me show you something. If I head over here to, let's see, if we go over to tropical development and over here to shear, if we do take a look at that, and if we do go down in time, actually we don't even need to. This is kind of where we stand right now. This is 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hold on, we need to go a little bit further down. Okay, we're roughly right around here at this point. So if you look closely, you notice how we have the jet stream. We have a jet kind of, digging down pretty far and, of course, going out this way, right? So the storm itself is going down this way, of course, moving its way here to the west. Now, what's causing it to probably move a little bit further north is this wind shear that might be kind of nudging it maybe a little bit further south, which is kind of allowing the storm to maybe push up a little bit. That's in theory. That's in theory, to what I believe is causing that. But like we had mentioned here, there's a little bit of winds that are not a part of the hurricane. It's pushing against the storm, which is allowing it to destabilize a little bit. That's actually what's causing it to weaken mostly. That's why we're expecting the system to actually weaken quite a bit. As we go further down in time, eventually it will become an environment where there shouldn't be a whole lot of wind shear acting against the storm. I mean, you can see at this point, the winds are just kind of going around the storm here. But, where we stand here now, those winds are kind of pushing against that storm there. So that's the main reason why. That is the main reason why. All right, let me try updating here. So the last update we've had from the Hurricane Center is as of 8 p.m. HST, so local to Hawaii here. Storm is moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. Central low down to 988 millibars. Max sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. That's currently the vitals of the storm, I will call it. They did say as of 8 p.m., Lala remains a hurricane as it continues northwestward on the leeward side of the Big Island. Damaging winds and heavy rain will persist across the Big Island in Maui County overnight and spread westward across Oahu and Kauai County on Sunday. So, yeah, going back into the rain potential once again. This is just overall how much rain we are expecting out of the system. And honestly, they mentioned isolated amounts of 25 plus, but I really believe that we've seen more than that. I'm not even going to lie with you. I feel like we've probably seen upwards of 30 in some spots. A lot of rain has fallen. We've already had reports from, I think it was, who was it, Pizza? Yeah, Pizza, if you're still here. You reported, 24 inches earlier? So, I mean, it's not even over yet either. They're still getting rain out there. So, they're still getting some of it. And, but yeah, we are isolated up to 25, which I think we're going to push over that a little bit. Then, of course, you have the dark green. This is that 2 to 4 inch margin. The yellow, that's that 4 to 6 margin here, which covers a lot of the central islands here overall. Now, you probably have noticed where it says isolated to 8 inches. We could see some localized spots getting up to 8 inches of rainfall out here. And once again, 4 to 6 across the yellow. Then we go into the dark yellow, which is this shape right here, 6 to 8 inches of rain. Then we go into orange, which includes bits of like eastern Maui here, where we could see 8 to 12 inches. The red, 12 to 16, and the worst, of course, the dark red here is 16 to 20 inches of rainfall. So definitely a pretty good amount of rain expected out of the system. But like I had mentioned, I believe that some of these areas have probably already seen more than 25 inches at this point. And like I said, it hasn't even stopped either. You know what I'm saying? It's still, it's still ongoing at this particular moment here. But anyways, let's see here. I'll tell you what, guys. It is 4:21 my time. I ain't going to lie with you. I'm a little bit tired. So I'm probably going to call it a stream soon. I'm going to pick up on coverage tomorrow when I get up here. I plan to, if things are still kicking off pretty heavily, which they are expected to continue. I hate to do this, but it's, like I said, it's late for me. I'm whooped, man. I've done so much today. We did I think probably 6 hours of coverage today. No, probably over 9 hours of coverage today, considering we did one earlier the morning before too. So did quite a bit. I am running low on energy here. So yeah, another thing to talk about here is also, like I said, the sea surface temperatures. Those basically the water temperatures here, in which we are seeing, like we had mentioned, a pretty good amount of warmth here. 26, 27, 28 degrees Celsius waters throughout the entirety of the cone here, and in order to sustain and have strengthening tropical activity, you got to have those sea surface temperatures here as 26 or greater, essentially. See, thanks for staying up and showing us all this. Of course, friend, of course. Like I said, I'm going to try to stay a little bit longer, but don't be surprised if I head off here pretty soon. Like I said, I'm getting a little bit tired. I've been live a lot today, and plus I've been busy doing some other stuff today too. You guys are very welcome for the stream. No problem. Brother, it's not late anymore. It's early. You got a point. Yeah, it's beyond late. It's so late, past late, that it's early. Yeah, you ain't kidding. All right, y'all. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the chat here. I'll be more than happy to help you guys here as far as what the system goes. I am going to go ahead and go over the cone here. We're going to remove the sea surface temperatures and all. So like we had mentioned, where the storm is now, we are currently seeing sustained winds of 75 miles per hour as of the last update at 8 o'clock p.m. HST, local to you guys. Pressure's down to 988 millibars. Storm is moving northwest at 10 miles per hour, which is a 2 mile per hour increase since the previous advisory. So that is what we were dealing with there. Now, as we continue further into the morning, as we go into 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I am going to switch this back to HST, though. I don't know why it just keeps changing time zones. But yeah, 2 o'clock a.m. HST here. We do have ourselves, let's see here. At this point, the system is expected to be downgraded into a tropical storm here. Sustaining winds still of 70 miles per hour, which, if you think about it, that's only 5 mile per hour difference sustained from tropical storm force to hurricane force. So it's still a very strong storm. Still a very strong storm. As far as tropical storm standards go, top of the line. And we're still gusting 85, which that's still gusting up to or into hurricane strength. So keep that in mind. There could still be some gusts towards the core there. As we approach into 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, HST, still sustaining 60 mile per hour winds, gusting up to 70 here overall. As we go into 2 a.m. on the 17th, 60 sustained, gusting 70. Then we go 60, 70, 65, 75. So as we go into the morning of the 18th, we're expected the system to strengthen a bit. At this point, it's obviously well past Hawaii, but down on the forecast track, though, it is forecasted to re-strengthen back into hurricane strength here, in which we will be seeing, this is for 2 p.m. HST here for the 19th overall. So, real quick, what's the chances of it hitting Oahu like the eye wall? It won't. Let me actually show you something here real quickly. I'm going to bring up the spaghetti models, which is a partially between the main hurricane models and the ensembles that we do have here. So let me go ahead and load up Lala here real quickly. We're going to turn on all these here. You can see all the model guidance that we have. So this was the last set of runs. Now you can see, each red line is where one of the projections show the center of that storm going. As you can kind of see, majority of the support has that system center kind of remaining within these boundaries here. So more than likely, most guidance suggesting going in that direction. Now, you really don't see any models supporting it doing anything like this. That probability is extremely unlikely. And in fact, I'd even say it's impossible at this point. Just given the fact that, we literally have all kinds of guidance here suggesting otherwise. Just a movement it's currently doing. I don't think it's going to go against nature and go upwards. Now, with that being said, though, like I had mentioned, we're still going to be seeing those tropical storm conditions here, in which we are seeing, all of these areas here in those tropical storm warnings still. Where tropical storm conditions is expected, sustained winds up to, or basically from 39 miles per hour up to, tropical storm ranges from 39 to 73 or 74 miles per hour. I think 73. That's where it's at tropical storm strength. But, these guys out here, probably, we could see some sustained winds, maybe 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts out here for a lot of these islands, but we're going to be gusting well into tropical storm status, possibly 40, 50, and even 60 in some areas, possibly, as far as those gusts could go. So, let's see here. See, the gusts on the west side are crazy. Yes, 85 sounds right. The gusts are full of rain. It's like a wall of rushing, then stopping, then goes whirly. Valley winds merging, the gusts. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it's definitely, hitting you guys pretty good still. It certainly is. Like if we hop back to the radar view, we'll pull back up our reflectivity here. If we do play this in motion, you definitely can see that. We're still getting a lot of those strong winds from that right-hand side. So, but I tell you what, though, the center of that storm is definitely a lot further away from the island now. So right there's the center at the current moment as of right now. Here's obviously the big island of Hawaii. And you can see that, the distance now from the center. Here, let's go ahead and pause this on the latest frame here. The distance from the quote-unquote eye wall to the closest point of land is about 50 miles. Yeah, about 50 miles at this point from, maybe a little bit more, actually. Roughly about 50 miles or so. Yeah, 50. Yeah, about 50 miles, actually. So, yeah, you can see, the center is a little bit of ways away off here. And those hurricane force winds that we talked about, those are actually... let's see here. Let's go back to the interactive map here. Yeah, those hurricane force winds are actually off the coast now. Now, remember, this was as of 8 p.m. HST. You can see that this brown area, this is where those estimated hurricane force winds of 74 miles per hour and greater were at, basically up to 75. But, yeah, that's where they were at 8 o'clock p.m. The storm is now over here, so those hurricane force winds are probably over there. In fact, we're probably getting to the point where those sustained tropical storm force winds are probably getting ready to stop happening for the eastern side of the Big Island because we're kind of getting out of that radius there. Now, the opposite here for, of course, a lot of like Maui County here for all these islands here. We do have those tropical storm warnings, of course, in effect. But, yeah, the storm's moving northwest here. This whole thing's moving northwest, in which, yeah, those tropical storm conditions, I'm sure, across some of these other islands too. Still outside of Honolulu, though, in which you guys are going to be kind of scraped by with those sustained tropical storm force winds here. Now, like I had mentioned, I do plan on picking this up as far as coverage goes for part 3 tomorrow when I get up at some point. Don't be surprised if it's fairly, well, for you guys, it'd be pretty early, but for Eastern time standards, it'll probably be a little bit later. Yeah, because I honestly, like I said, I've been doing coverage overnight for the last several nights. I'm not waking, it's sad to say this, I've been waking up at like 4 p.m. every day because I've been going to bed basically when the sun comes up and all. So just for doing all these coverages and all that stuff. So yeah, it'll probably be a while before I get back on, unfortunately. I really wish I could, like I said, continue the whole event. But like I said, this goes all the way. We're going to feel effects all the way till the morning of Monday, in which, yeah, there's no way. Not even humanly possible to do that. Got to end it at some point. And I think I'm probably going to do that here soon. Like I had mentioned, guys, though, we're still going to be feeling those effects all the way till tomorrow evening and all. The closest approach here, you can see 2 p.m. Eastern time. Or, sorry, 2 p.m. Oh, yeah, no, this is 2 p.m. HST. That's Hawaiian time. So this would be 8 o'clock. Yeah. This would be 8 o'clock here. My time. So I'll definitely be live at the point where it's closest to the Western Islands out there. So yeah, we'll definitely hop back on for coverage, probably a little bit earlier. So we'll probably, next time we come on to Storm, we'll probably be somewhere over here at that point. So, see, I'm rocking your rocking your merch. Yeah, we do have some pretty cool merch if you guys want to check it out. So if you go to our pinned comment here, click on this, click on our merch page. That's if you wanted to. You guys can check it out. Yeah, I really don't mention it whole often, but we do have merch page, and we got some pretty cool stuff if you all want to check it out. So, anyways, enough of that, though. I just wanted to let you all know we do actually have merch and all if you want to check it out. But anyways, friends, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, like before I head off here, go ahead and throw them down in the chat. But yeah, I think we're probably going to conclude the coverage for now. We're probably going to pick back up on, or we will be picking, sorry, not probably, we will be picking it back up when I get up tomorrow. Probably give myself 30 minutes to wake up and get breakfast and stuff, and then immediately go back live for you guys. So I do plan on doing that, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell. That way you get notified when we do end up going live. That way you can know when we're live and when we're doing our coverage and all. And if you guys could maybe leave a like, and most importantly, if you guys could consider sharing the channel to friends, family, neighbors, whoever, just to help, just to help spread the word of the channel for one, and to help me get that word out there, essentially, which would be very, very important. It could go a long way. So let's see here. See you tomorrow. See you later, friend. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Auntie says, thank you. You're very welcome, friend. You're very welcome. But yeah, like I said, going once, going twice. If any of you guys have any further questions before I roll off here, go ahead and let me know. Big shout out earlier goes to Christy for the $20 super chat, friend. Thank you once again. I really appreciate your support in the stream here this evening, or overnight. I guess it's not even evening anymore. This morning. So thank you so much. I think Christy's gone at this point, but in case you're still here, but still, thank you to Christy. I really, really appreciate it. Showing the radar is awesome. Yeah, it definitely was. Oh, hold on a minute. Oh my goodness. Alana just came in with a $5. Oh, don't call your name out. Oh, sorry. Nobody did anything. I'm so sorry. Let's see here. For the coverage again, I hope you get some sleep too. I apologize. I do apologize for that. I literally read your name, or read the donation first, and then I did that. I sincerely apologize. But thank you for the 5, friend. I really, really appreciate it. Saying, let's see, for the coverage again, I hope you get some sleep too. Thank you so much, friend. Yeah, I definitely do plan on it. Absolutely. Let's see here. Tabletop wants me to look at tomorrow's risk real quick. Okay, I can do that real fast. Let me hop over here real quickly. Once again, I'm so sorry, friend. I literally didn't read the message until after I read the name, because I always do name first, and then, of course, that. But anyways, but yeah, let me hop on over here real quickly. So let me pull up the SPC outlook here real quickly as we go to day 1 convectives. Okay, we have that for today. Tomorrow we have this day 2 outlook for these areas. Now for you, day 3, we don't have anything. Yeah, tabletop where you're at in Wilmington, you don't have any severe weather risk here. Yeah, tomorrow we do have these areas here. We do need to monitor overall, but anyways. Let's see. Any idea when Molokai will be clear? Let me look real quickly. Here, let me hop you out back over here real quickly. Let me switch on back over here. We're going to have to pull this up. Hawaii. It's probably still going to be a little bit before you guys get in the clear here, yeah. So as we... Probably we're going to get out of that. Here, let's go pull up the models here real quickly. Let me do that real fast. Let me go pull up the models. We are going to go to... Let's see here. Yeah, we'll do the hurricane models here real quickly. Let's go back to HWRF. We'll do Lala, and we'll do, let's see here, models, precipitation. and composite reflectivity here. So a lot of it should be out by, I'd say, tomorrow evening. I would say tomorrow evening is when a lot of that should be out up there. So that's when a lot of that precipitation should be out for the most part. Let's see, the satellite convection imaging made by Day had no idea it was accessible for us normal. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. GG, good night. Good night, friend. Thanks for joining. But yeah, guys, we're probably going to head off for now. I do apologize. Like I said, I wish I could continue coverage, but yeah, I'm about to fall asleep over here, man. I am whooped. We've been doing a lot of coverage here today and over the last few days, really, of just several hours of streaming and all. So, yeah, we're a little over 2 hours and 30 on this one, but that's part 2. We did 3 hours earlier before that, and then 3.5 before that. So, yeah, I've been a little been a little busy out there, but let's see here. Tom says, thanks, much appreciated. Of course, friend. Of course. And like I said, thank you all so much for joining. I really sincerely appreciate y'all. Let's see here. I really do appreciate y'all for hanging out with us tonight and all that stuff. Let's see here. Mahalo, sleep well. Thank you. Is that how you say mahalos? I think that's how you say it. Like I said, you're seeing somebody who's terrible with names, town names, people names, just any reading in general. I'm terrible with some of these names. So let's see. Not too rainy. The rhythm's brutal. Calmer for the moment. Wet enough not to worry about the fire. No power for the night. I got you. Yeah. Hopefully you guys will get your power back here soon. Actually, before I head off, I do want to take a peek at that real quickly. The merch link don't work Hawaii. Oh, it doesn't? Oh shoot. That's unfortunate. I thought it did. I thought it was international, but I guess not. All right, yeah, let me pull up the power outages real quickly. So yeah, out of 510,000 people tracked in the state of Hawaii, 101,000 people are without power here. Which, yeah, that's definitely a lot of people. That's basically 1/5 of the population of Hawaii is without power. Now, for the breakdown of who is without power, as you guessed it, the Big Island had the biggest impact. So yeah, we're having out of 90,000 people, 62,000 people are without power. Actually, 69%. That actually went down a little bit apparently. 69% of the people without power. As far as Maui County goes, out of 71,000, 21.8 are without. As far as Honolulu goes, we do have, 300 out of 310,000 people, 17,000 are without power. That's actually going up a bit. It was at like 2 or 3% last time we checked. Now it's at 5%. And then for Kauai County, we are seeing 0.03% of the people. So 10 people out of 37,000. Those 10 people, y'all live under a terrible power grid. Let's see here. Thank you. Our local news was not showing much. Yeah, of course, friend. Of course. Like I said, I'm more than happy to be here for you guys. No problem at all. Let's see. This guy rocks. Oh, well, thank you, Ricky. Appreciate it, friend. But yeah, like I said, guys, if y'all have any final questions before I roll off here, I'm going to go ahead and call it a stream here. We'll do one last look at the radar view before I go to bed. And then, like I said, once I wake up in the morning, I'm going to go right back at it, and you guys are going to have some more coverage here. So I'll be sure to do that here for you guys as soon as I wake up, because, like I mentioned, for you guys, it's later evening. For me, I live in the eastern side of the U.S., the mainland, and it is 4:38 a.m. here. So the sun's about to rise in a couple of hours, so I really need to get some sleep. Like I said, I need to get some food, relax, and then go to bed here tonight. And then, of course, once I wake up, like I said, we'll go live. I'm going to wake up, give myself 30 minutes to wake up, eat some breakfast or something if I'm hungry, and then go right to it. So, anyways. But yeah, looking at the current radar view, though, here's the latest radar data that we have here. Let me go get rid of the measurements. I didn't mean to have that up there. But yeah, we do have some pretty decent circulation, obviously, still going on with the system. I mean, I'm not surprised if this system is still a Category 1 hurricane here at this point here overall. Oh, my goodness! Let's see here. Let me actually make sure. Let's see. Mahalo for covering Lala. Now go to bed. Thank you, friend. I wish I knew how to say your name properly. So I'm going to attempt it. Is it Ciani? I probably said that wrong. Thank you so much for the $5 Venmo donation, friend. That means a lot to me. Thank you guys seriously for all the kind donations. Venmo, Cash App, Super Chats, of course. Thank you. Like I said, y'all don't have to donate, but it truly does go towards our coverage and helps us out a lot. I mean, it allows me to do what I do. It allows me to do this for a job, in which allows me to continue to do these long coverages and all for you guys, or just these coverages in general. Long, I don't know. I mean, 3.5 hours if you consider that long coverage. I mean, maybe. But anyways. But yeah, but thank you seriously to the people who have donated to us. But yeah, looking back at the radar here, though, you can definitely see the clear out of that center. I mean, at this point, though, the center of that storm is a pretty good distance away from the big island here of Hawaii. I know it's kind of hard to see with the warnings. We'll go ahead and remove those real quickly. So there's the big island here of Hawaii, you can see. But yeah, you can see definitely the eye over here, the center of that. There is no clearing out on the satellite imagery, at least last I checked. There is no visible eye here with this system. Let me pop back over to satellite imagery. Let's do Mesofloater 2 once again, and we'll do geocolor. Yeah, there really isn't any clearing going on in this. It's just a bunch of overcast skies through the center of the storm here. Likely a lot of upper level cloud cover. Lower level cloud cover, not really. So, anyways, let's see. Sarah says, good night, sleep well. You too, friend. Like I said, sorry if I said your name wrong. That is my biggest weakness, is pronouncing names. Alrighty, friends. You guys take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. Once again, please stay safe. I'm going to keep you guys in my prayers here. We'll be sure to pick up on this in the morning here for you guys. And so it'll be morning. So by the time you guys wake up and all, I should be back live here and all for you guys. So I'm hoping. So I'm going to wake up probably about 4 p.m. Eastern. So it'll probably be about 10 a.m. your guys' time. To be safe, I'd say anywhere from 10 to 12 your guys' time. I'll be back live. For me, that would be anywhere from 4 to 6 p.m. That gives me a little bit of time to wake up and adjust and all that stuff. I'll just go live when I can. So just turn on those notifications. That way you'll get notified when I do. So if you haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button. Leave it a like. And if you guys could, maybe consider sharing as well. Be much, much appreciated. Alrighty, friends. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see y'all here in the next one. Y'all stay safe. See ya later on. Peace out, my friends. See you later on.